TheGameNashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. David is in for Ian today. Hello, David.
What's going on, Jared? How you doing?
All right. You didn't say guys. Way to go.
There you go.
All good today. TD will be with us for the Power Hour at 3:30 today. And Mike Reese will join us, who is the Patriots reporter for ESPN.com. The guy does the same job TD does covering the Patriots, who had the story over the weekend that the Titans were making a more aggressive offer to DeAndre Hopkins. So we will be talking with Mike Reese at 3:30, what he knows on that front, and then we'll have TD from 3:30 to 4:30 for the TD Power Hour today. And, of course, we start where else but DeAndre Watch.
This is DeAndre Watch 2023.
I kind of feel like Walter Cronkite. Like when that music comes on, you know, I kind of feel like a good evening. Good evening.
This is CBS News.
The CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite. So, yesterday, the DeAndre Hopkins odds at the beginning of the show just absolutely skyrocketed in favor of the Titans. They were plus 500 2 days ago, and then during the show yesterday, they were minus 300. That is a Vegas knows something type move. So we were trying to figure out what it was. Now, what's crazy is in the state of Tennessee, apparently you cannot bet on where DeAndre Hopkins is going to go. So all I can go off of is what the people who are allowed to bet on this stuff in those certain states, what they're screenshotting and putting out there. So yesterday I kept wondering, and I kept asking the question when we saw the minus 300 for DeAndre Hopkins. I kept asking, what does Vegas know? What does Vegas know that we don't know? We know the Titans have made a more aggressive offer. We know the Titans brought D-Hop in for a visit. We know the Chiefs and the Bills are not likely to pony up the money that everybody in the national media wants the Chiefs or the Bills to pony up in order to pay. We know all of that. And yet at the same time, for some reason, there's not anything else behind it, and yet the odds went crazy? Was Mike Lombardi's take that DeAndre Hopkins was going to sign with the Titans on his podcast, which I believe is affiliated with DraftKings, was that enough to move the needle? And then I talked to somebody inside the Vegas odds-making walls, and I asked what they made of that shift in the odds. And they told me yesterday, and I told you guys on the show, that where there's smoke, there's fire, but. And the but was that this kind of move is a speculative bet, and that it's like the draft stuff where we saw some bozo on Twitter put out that they were hearing real intel that Will Levis was going to go number 2, and then all of a sudden the odds for Will Levis skyrocketed at number 2. The day of the draft with Diana Rossini in your facility, basically telling everybody what your team was trying to do. As all of that was going on, we saw the odds for C.J. Stroud at number 3 climb significantly, and then about an hour before the draft, we saw the odds for C.J. Stroud at 2 start going crazy. And so, again, these could move all throughout the day, and that's what takes me to the DeAndre front, is that apparently last night, at 7:26 p.m. last night, the odds had kind of shifted a little bit. So yesterday while we were on the air, DeAndre was minus 300 to the Titans, plus 425 to the Patriots, plus 800 to the Chiefs. What has changed as of last night was that the Patriots went from plus 425 to plus 150, and the Chiefs went from plus 800 to plus 300, and the Titans odds went to minus 125. So it's not a significant drop, not like plus 500 to minus 300, but it was a drop. The odds have chilled a little bit as far as the Titans and DeAndre are concerned. And I guess what I'm saying is, it feels to me as if right now, everything that we know is all there is to know on the DeAndre front. Now, we could know more from the standpoint of what was the exact offer the Titans made, but I feel pretty confident what the Titans made was in the ballpark of $12 million. What was the offer the Patriots made? I think that's in the ballpark of $10 million, and we'll ask Mike Reese that at 3:30. But what we know is probably all there is to know, which is the Titans are at the top of the leaderboard. The Patriots have made an offer that's not as good as the Titans, and the Patriots are not going to budge on their offer, or at least publicly. I don't think that they are telling DeAndre they're going to budge on their offer. The Titans probably think they've made the best offer and that it's going to be the best offer that's made. And DeAndre is probably sitting at home thinking, I'd either like more money or I'd like to go to a better team. But right now, none of the better teams are interested. And so my only option is to wait and to see if something were to happen. But for some reason, I still wonder, what does Vegas know? Because everybody, outside of Jeremy Fowler, who I think knows something and won't say, stupidest thing that DeAndre Hopkins has ever done, or there's no way, no how, any chance that he would ever do it. And yet, the odds yesterday were screaming at us that he's coming here. Today, they're not as loud. Today, they're there, but they're not as loud as far as DeAndre Hopkins and the betting market is concerned. The second part about this is that the Titans are still minus money favorites to land Hopkins. And it seems like people are actually starting to believe that DeAndre Hopkins could be a Titan, which is nice and it's refreshing to hear. It doesn't really change much, but it is refreshing to hear. But here's something for all of us that I do feel pretty certain about. And that is, this is bad news for Ran Carthon and Mike Vrabel if they don't end up signing DeAndre Hopkins. Because I don't know about you guys, those Vegas odds, and it may have nothing to do with Ran Carthon or Mike Vrabel at all. But there's no way as a Titan fan not to see that yesterday, to know that you've given out the best offer, to know that you need DeAndre Hopkins, and then to see DraftKings say minus 300, heavy favorites to land DeAndre Hopkins. And now it's like if the Titans don't get DeAndre Hopkins, I think there are going to be a lot of angry Titan fans at Mike Vrabel and Ran Carthon. I think it's almost impossible if you're a Titan fan not to get your hopes up that DeAndre Hopkins is coming here. And then if DeAndre doesn't come here, and there's a rule we have on this show that nobody gets in trouble for something they haven't done, but if DeAndre doesn't come here, think about the letdown. I mean, I know when Aaron Rodgers decided he was going to stay in Green Bay, I didn't like it, but I kind of knew that was probably the most likely outcome. I knew that he was interested in coming to the Titans. We reported it. But I knew that the most likely outcome the whole time was that he would stay with the Packers. And if he didn't stay with the Packers, the most likely outcome was he would go to the Broncos. And so when he ended up deciding to stay in Green Bay, I kind of shrugged my shoulders. And I didn't like it because I knew now you're stuck with Tannehill. And Tannehill is certainly not as good as Aaron Rodgers. But I wasn't, completely let down by it. Like, I wasn't mad. If DeAndre Hopkins ends up becoming a Kansas City Chief or a New England Patriot, it's going to be hard for me not to look at Vrabel and Carthon and think, you got it, what? But you had him. But they didn't really have him. It's just Vegas said that they had him. And Vegas said they had him for 4 hours. That's it. So it's crazy because I do think the public perception matters when it comes to the coach and when it comes to the general manager. And I do think it matters. And so I look at the Titans and I look at the fact that, hey, these fans, if you're a Titan fan, your hopes are up. Your hopes should be up. My hopes are up. We went into this and I said, like, they need to get a receiver. And I was talking about Mac Hollins. And then they didn't get one in free agency. So then the draft came. And we talked about all the first-round guys, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison. We talked about the second-round guys. TD was telling us all about them. And then they didn't get one. And then after the draft, they kind of promised that they'd work and look and see what's out there. And now it's like you got DeAndre right there. And if you don't get him after what happened yesterday with the odds and everybody talking about it, that's tough. That would be a tough pill to swallow as a Titan fan. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. By the way, the reaction in Boston yesterday to what happened when the odds shifted significantly in the favor of the Titans. We'll get to that. And this isn't fair to Rand Carthon, but it is the hand that he is dealt. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to theGameNashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Being value conscious and getting the most for your money is so important these days, and that's why it's more important than ever to shop at Genesis Diamonds, the undisputed value leader.
Part of the education at Genesis Diamonds is we explain to you how we travel the world and purchase our diamonds, how we buy in bulk, we pay cash for our diamonds so we can save every possible percent to save you money on your diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper.
There are no middlemen, there are no other wholesalers or dealers, so we cut out all of those extra added markups and pass those savings on to you.
When you combine that unmatched value with a totally no-pressure shopping experience, you know you're in the right place.
Because we do not work on commission, our sole purpose is to make sure you get exactly what you want. There's nothing in it for us personally, whether you spend $1,000 or $100,000.
That's why at Genesis, people often end up spending less than they had budgeted.
Our goal is to purely present you with options so you can choose exactly what you want.
The value you want, the experience you deserve. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
On July 22nd in Nashville, Tennessee, 4 men will compete in one boxing ring. Only one winner will be declared. Who will be the last man standing in the first ever Survivor Tag? KSI's Misfits Boxing is coming to Nashville. That's right, Misfits and DAZN are bringing Misfits 008 to the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, including some of the biggest names in the crossover and celebrity boxing space. The night will be packed full of action, including the first ever tag team boxing match in the U.S. Fighters on the night include gun expert Brandon Herrera, fan favorite B-Dave, political activist Alex Stein, chart-topping rapper Swarms, lightweight champion Dean the Great, former BKFC champion Alan Belcher versus Hasim Rahman Jr., and many, many more. Misfits 008 tickets are available now, starting at $20 from Ticketmaster.com.
Hose and Belting Specialties in Murfreesboro is your local source for hydraulic, air, water, and chemical hoses, along with conveyor, timing, and metric belt needs. They stock metric fittings for both air and hydraulic applications. Hose and Belting Specialties stocks Parker hydraulic hoses and fittings, Goodyear Conti-Tech industrial hoses, and V-belts, just to name a few of their lines. For any of your industrial needs, call 615-895-HOSE, 615-895-HOSE.
Today's world is filled with many things that can push any of us to our limit. An upcoming move should not add to that list. When you choose Black Tie Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. From the free estimate by a local professional moving consultant to the red carpet treatment you receive on the day of your move, their trained and dedicated team is there to ensure that they take the stress out of the process. Call 844-920-2966. Then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah, and like us on Facebook, too. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The futures for DeAndre Hopkins and the Tennessee Titans have moved. According to DraftKings, just in the last hour or so.
In the Tennessee Titans' favor.
Correct. So as far as where will DeAndre Hopkins end up, right now it's moved from minus 300 to go to the Tennessee Titans. It was plus 500 yesterday.
Wow, that's a pretty big swing.
Big swing.
That's a big swing. So from plus 500 to minus 300, like they are the prohibitive favorite now. And I've started to think, and this would, if I was DeAndre Hopkins, I'd do this. Wait for someone to get hurt on a team that's got a real chance. T. Higgins goes down for Cincinnati. Someone goes down for Buffalo. That's not Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis with his frying pan pans. Whatever. I want to latch onto a team that's got a real shot here. Sure, I'd like to make more money, but you know what? I'd like a ring. I'd like to think he cares about that in some way, shape, or form. So latch on with like a team that's got a real chance. But if he goes to the Titans, like. It really is just a straight money grab. Like, what's the draw there, just other than Mike Vrabel?
That was Jim Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston yesterday. Like, wait a minute. Why would you go to the Titans? Which I think is the feeling that most everybody has. Now, unlike, I think, a lot of people probably in Boston that would say, why aren't you coming to the Patriots? Like, I don't think Murray thinks he should go there either. He's like, hey, just wait for Jamar Chase or T. Higgins to get hurt. But, I mean, there's a lot of people that if he ends up signing with the Titans are going to, the Titans? And that's okay, because they don't get the Titans. They never got the Titans. They're never going to get the Titans. They don't get the Titans. Now, again, the Titans are still minus money favorites to land DeAndre Hopkins. And let me say this. This may not be fair, but life sometimes is not fair. And so this may not be fair to Ran Carthon because he is working in lockstep with Mike Vrabel. But if the Titans don't end up signing DeAndre Hopkins, after all of this hype and all of this excitement and the betting odds that are shifting in that favor, if they don't sign DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know if Titan fans will forgive him, or at least forgive him immediately. And I'm just going to tell you right now, like, that does matter. I know it's, who? If you listen to the fans, pretty soon you'll be sitting with the fans, and who cares with the fans? And when you've got this kind of division that the Titans have with their, collaboration between Vrabel and Carthon, what we're going to end up with, one way or another, if the team doesn't win at a high level right away, is it's going to be somebody's fault. What is the it? The it is whatever goes wrong. It will be somebody's fault. And basic survival in the NFL is it's his fault. Not my fault. And Titan fans, and again, this may not be fair because the Titans, all of the issues they've had in the offseason, they may be Vrabel's fault. They may not be Ran Carthon's fault. But Titan fans are already mad at Ran Carthon because of how the Kevin Byard pay cut situation played out, and Ran did screw that up. In fact, going back to the Kevin Byard pay cut situation, this would be the perfect time if you really wanted to ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. This would be the perfect time to ask Kevin Byard to take a pay cut. Why? Because now you could bring him in. All the money is dried up as far as around the league. You could call Kevin Byard in and say, hey, man, I know we've redone your deal twice. We can't redo it this time. We need you just to take less so that we can give that money to DeAndre Hopkins. And that might resonate with Byard. Now, he could still say no, but that might resonate with Byard. But instead, the Titans didn't strategically plan this out. Rand did not strategically plan this out. And they just showed up in March when Byard thought he was going to get an extension and said, we need you to take a pay cut. And so that blew up in his face. Then there was the draft. And again, Vrabel is lockstep with Rand Carthon, but the feelings for Vrabel will always be dictated by what happens on the field, by the winning, the losing, but also the decision-making in the games and things like that. And for whatever reason it is, Mike Vrabel never gets any blame ever. And that's not going to change. There is so much to blame Mike Vrabel for over the years. Now, that doesn't mean that Vrabel's done a bad job, because I don't believe that. I think Vrabel's a great coach. But, I mean, retaining Todd Downing on the staff after 2021 and bringing him into 2022, that wasn't John Robinson's fault. That was Vrabel's fault. But nobody ever holds Vrabel accountable, and that's not going to change. So if you're Rand Carthon, this is not fair, but the fans absolutely hated the Byard thing and how that went down, and they should have, because that looked bad. And the fans hated the draft, regardless of whether or not it was a good draft, which we'll know 3 years from now. We don't know today. You may think you know that Will Levis sucks, but you don't know that for a fact. We'll learn. And if Will Levis does suck, people will hold that against Rand Carthon. But right now, that was not a popular pick, to pick Will Levis. And then there's the receiver fiasco. And that's part of the people hating the draft, is that the Titans cut Robert Woods. Fine, everybody's okay with that. And they've done nothing at receiver. They've done nothing. And then after the draft was over, they rolled the dice, play the board, roll the dice, play the board. What was a disastrous press conference for Rand Carthon after the draft, I think still has left a lot of negative feelings there. And again, none of this is fair. Like, to pin the draft on Rand Carthon is completely irresponsible because, number one, he's working in lockstep with Vrabel. So Vrabel is equally as responsible for that draft as Rand Carthon is. But the anger on that Friday night was not directed at Vrabel. It's also unfair because we don't know if these draft picks are going to be good or bad, or we don't know any of that. The Byard situation was a fiasco. We don't know what Vrabel's involvement was in that, although it does sound like it was a Carthon thing, and it does sound like he kind of screwed that up. And now there's the DeAndre thing, which, again, we don't know how much of this is Vrabel. How much of this is Vrabel saying, oh, yeah, I love DeAndre, we should get him, but we can't pay him X amount of dollars because that'll affect the locker room this way. And Rand saying, well, I can get him right now for $50. We can't do that. And we'll never know. And so it's not fair that if they don't get DeAndre Hopkins, that the fans will be mad at Rand Carthon. Just like it was not fair that Friday night where they drafted Will Levis and Tajay Spears, and the anger that was directed towards Rand Carthon. Now, Carthon didn't make things better, because that press conference that he held right after that Friday night was an embarrassment. The idea of telling the media to be positive because because this could be the best moment of these kids' lives. That was embarrassing. But this, you promised a receiver. The coach promised a receiver. There's one receiver. You've had him in your building. You've made an offer to him. You're the minus money favorites to land him. Even though everybody outside of your building, outside of your city, thinks your team sucks. And that is the truth. The people of this town are not interested in finishing in third place this year. And if you don't think that that's fair, I'm here to tell you that the NFL is not fair. If you're going to tell me that it doesn't matter how the fans feel in reaction to the general manager, or that one or two mistakes can lead to a guy getting fired, just look at the last general manager. They extended him in January and fired him in December. And he had a winning percentage that equaled Bill Walsh's with the 49ers. He had been to the playoffs. He had been to an AFC title game. He had built a team from the bottom. Rand Carthon doesn't have those credentials. Now, I don't think the organization's going to want to have to pay 2 general managers, so I don't think he's going to get fired. But I do think that the feelings of the fans towards the general manager, if he does not get the DeAndre deal done, I do think that is something. That's a position that if I were advising Rand Carthon, I would say you do not want to be in. And before you tell me that it's not fair, I know it's not fair. Before you tell me that this isn't your dictatorship and that you answer to an owner and that you have to conspire with Mike Vrabel, I know that. But that doesn't change the reality that the fans are mad about the Byard thing, and they should be because you screwed that up, that they're mad about that Friday night at the draft, and I'm not sure the fans should be mad about that at least yet, but they are, and then your press conference afterwards, they were mad about, and they should be. The fact that you don't have a receiver, they're mad about, and they should be. And so now everybody's got their hopes up that you're going to get DeAndre Hopkins, including me. And it's like, if you don't get him, even though you can't force DeAndre to sign here, we all know that, if they don't end up getting him, it will feel like a colossal failure. So just keep that in mind. And I know Rand Carthon has thought things were going to be a certain way when he got the job as general manager, and I think he's probably learned or is in the process of learning that they're not that certain way that he thought it was going to be. That's okay. But in this case, just know, like, if you do not get the DeAndre deal done, there is going to be collateral damage for that, and I know it's not fair. But that's reality. People say, oh, yeah, all you ever do is talk about firing the general manager, fire the coach, you're this, you're that. Look, I was the one that didn't think it was fair to fire John Robinson. That I know the mistakes John Robinson made, but I mean, at the same time, I was able to look at the good with the bad. A lot of you just looked at the bad. I'm looking at this Rand Carthon situation, and I see the bad, and I see where the fans are upset and the things that have happened. And the only good out there might be DeAndre. Now, it's not going to matter if they sign DeAndre and the team stinks. But again, it's not fair. I know that. That's the reality of the job. The explaining to me, oh, well, but you don't understand. I mean, we would have come so far off of our board if we had drafted a receiver. I know. But this is the NFL. This is not the Little League World Series where, hey, everybody gets to play. This is a tough, this is cutthroat. It's unfortunate, but it's reality. 615-737-1025. We'll get to some of your phones. 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in on the program. And I got to tell you, I love my general managers. I love them. But I'm disappointed in one of my general managers. We'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
All the big plays.
Rebound, try out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 1025 and 1063.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more?
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We're changing the game. I'm Michelle Knezovic. Help your bets stay hot this summer with Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports gambling, with a direct line to Las Vegas. And now when you use the promo code THEGAME, you can score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 with the promo code THEGAME. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app and enter the promo code THEGAME, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture, eat strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win.
Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, I'm Gary Smith, head coach of Nashville SC. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We'll get to your phones here in just a second. You know I love my general managers. All of the former general managers. Maybe it's because I used to work with a general manager. I don't know. But I love them. I love Mark Dominic. I love Rick Spielman. I love Bill Polian. I love even Mike Lombardi, who Floyd used to always roll his eyes at. I love Lombardi. I love Thomas Dimitrov. I love my former general managers. You know that. I love them more than the former players. They stick all these former players on TV. Ryan Clark, I don't care what Ryan Clark says. Polian, different. So Rick Spielman on NFL radio. You know I love Rick Spielman. Rick Spielman, they were talking about DeAndre Hopkins. And Bill Leckis is the host with him, and Bill Leckis is a good man. And yesterday with Charles Davis, Bill Leckis said the same thing basically, which was, I mean, if the Titans get DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think that really affects the AFC South race. And I'll be honest, because Charles didn't push back on that, but Charles, you follow the Titans, kind of, at least for the preseason. You follow the Titans, but that's okay. That's okay. So Bill Leckis doubles down on that point again. And I got to tell you, everything that comes out of the mouth of Rick Spielman, and again, you know I love him. He's one of my GMs. I could not believe this was earlier today on NFL radio.
There's some people that actually think Tennessee could surpass Jacksonville that aren't totally sold
some crazy
on the
people.
Jaguars coming into the season and said, they turned it on late last year. Let's see them repeat that and do it again. I'm not one of them, but I don't see the ceiling for them any higher than second.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with you. I think Jacksonville is clear and far above any of those other teams in the AFC South. And the way Trevor Lawrence finished last year, showing that he's probably going to be a franchise quarterback that they drafted. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about him the same way we talk about Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and Patrick. I think Justin Herbert. Sure. I think he's going to be right up there with all those guys. And they have a very good football team. Doug Peterson, they have an excellent coaching staff down there. So I think by far Jacksonville is the one that's going to be that you have to beat in the AFC South, and I think they're definitely going to improve from even what they did last year.
Rick, really? Now look, if Jacksonville was all that in a bag of chips, I would tell you all the truth. I've told you before when the Titans can't beat a team. I've told you before when a team's better than the Titans, even when you didn't want to hear it. I've told you that, the Predators have no chance of winning this playoff series or beating that team. Oh, Jared, what if it? No. So this is not, me being a bobo here, but everything that came out of Rick's mouth, I could not believe. First off, the idea that DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to push the Titans closer to the Jags, I think that's crazy. The Titans have one wide receiver, one tight end, one really, really, really good running back. They have a solid quarterback and a decent defense and a good coach. What are they missing? What's the most important? They're missing a receiver. And DeAndre's that guy. And DeAndre's got game still. Now, is he the old DeAndre? No. But is he a bum? No. But what kills me is this idea that Jacksonville is just so far ahead of the Titans. Look at where it ended up last year. The last week of the season with 2:50 to go, and and just the idea that it was a ref's call that was so minuscule as to was it a fumble or was it an incomplete pass, which could have gone either way, which did go the other way in the playoff game between Buffalo and Cincinnati. The fact that, that was the difference between the two teams. Everything went wrong for the Titans last year. Everything. And that the difference between those two teams was just that little tiny bit. And then, on top of that Trevor Lawrence is going to be in the Joe Burrow category? I'm sorry. I mean, can we wait until he is in the Joe Burrow category before we start saying that he's going to be in the Joe Burrow category? And I don't think Lawrence is going to be in the Joe Burrow category. I think Lawrence is going to be a good starter for the next 12 years. But I don't think he's going to be Joe Burrow. And so for Rick to say, oh, yeah, Jacksonville, far and away, excellent coach. I mean, I think Peterson's a good coach. Excellent? Rick. And I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just telling you I disagree. Rick. I love my general managers. I think that it's neck and neck between the Titans and the Jags. I agree that the other two teams are out of it. And if the Titans just get a little bit better luck than last year, I think they probably should win the division. And on top of it, if they add DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know how that doesn't make a difference in the division race. So I heard that. I got a little down. Rick Spielman just killing me. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, 615-737-1025. Mike is going to kick us off today. Thank you for holding. Thank you for waiting. What's up, Mike?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I feel like this is the same type of deal that the media has when they're portraying the Titans versus the Patriots kind of bid for DeAndre Hopkins. All the media's like, oh, well, I mean, I guess the Titans would be all right. No one really cares about it. Everyone cares about if he went to the Patriots or if he went to the Chiefs. That's because the media just seems to have it out for the Titans, and no one ever wants to talk about us. No one ever wants to even acknowledge that we have a possibility of signing DeAndre Hopkins. So I think some of that has kind of leaked into even if the Titans got DeAndre Hopkins, that's not going to do anything for him in the divisional race against the Jaguars. I thought even if we didn't have DeAndre Hopkins, we were still going to be pretty close to it just based off of how the season ended last year. And, I mean, what has Jacksonville really done? Well, they did add Calvin Ridley, so that is a one-up for them.
Sure, but Calvin Ridley hasn't been good for 3 years.
I agree, but everyone's, like I said, the media is still hyping that up, like, oh, Calvin Ridley is the second coming, and he's going to be Trevor Lawrence's new favorite weapon or whatever. But when it comes to the Titans are more than likely going to sign DeAndre, I don't want to say more than likely, but they're the odds-on favorite. All the tea leaves are pointing towards that happening. Everyone just kind of like, whatever.
No, Mike, I think you make great points. Thank you for your call. I think you make great points. Now, the thing about Spielman that I have to tell you about that's different from the media is that Spielman's not really a media guy. Spielman's a football guy in the media. And it's like I used to talk to Floyd about this all the time. And it was when he was with the Patriots and he was with the Titans as the general manager, he never sat there and analyzed the Dallas Cowboys more than he analyzed the Carolina Panthers. Then, when he got in the media, he told me that for NFL Live, like this time of the year, they'd be in the production meetings, and it'd be him and Mike Golick and Trey Wingo or Mark Schlereth or whatever, and they'd be sitting there talking about, okay, what are we going to talk about today on NFL Live? And if there wasn't like a story that jumped right to the front of the discussion, it was always Cowboys. Like that was all they ever did. And so Spielman's not a media guy. And that's where the media guys that, oh yeah, Jacksonville, Lawrence, oh yeah, that is just going to happen. But Spielman's a GM. He's a football guy. And that's where I'm so disappointed and maybe even a little insecure about my own team is the idea that, hey, these two teams are not that far apart. They weren't that far apart last year. Everything went wrong for the Titans last season. Had nothing to do with Jacksonville. The last game of the year with a third-string quarterback, they were a tenth of an inch away from winning that football game. Lawrence sucked in that game. Lawrence sucked in the first half of the playoff game against the Chargers. He was good in the second half, and then he was average to below average in the playoff game against Kansas City. I mean, through 2 years, I'm not sure there's much of a difference between him and Mariota. And yet, oh, God, he's going to be in the Joe Burrow class. Rick, do you realize how good Joe Burrow is? It was funny because I had Kirk Morrison, and I love Kirk. I had Kirk Morrison on my Sirius show the other day, and Kirk's former player, works for NFL Radio, great guy. And I had Kirk Morrison on the show, and I asked him how big of a deal is a DeAndre Hopkins signing. And the way Kirk Morrison talked about DeAndre Hopkins was basically, if you get DeAndre Hopkins, you might be a Super Bowl contender. And then it was like, well, what about the Titans and the Patriots? Oh, no, definitely not Titans. Patriots, And it's like, if DeAndre signs with a contender or quasi-contender, it's going to be Super Bowl. If he signs with the Patriots, it's going to be, oh, my God, the Patriots and the Bills and the Dolphins and the Jets. How are this division? How are you going to? If DeAndre signs with the Titans, it'll be, okay. Oh, well. That's what it'll be. It drives me crazy. 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025 to your phones. Plus, what Rick says DeAndre could do for the Titans or how it could affect the Titans. We'll get to that as well. Stillman and Company, the TV Power Hour at 3:30 today. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Let me tell you.
We are Nashville.
Oh, I screwed that up. Sorry, everybody. I screwed that up. Let me tell you about PhD weight loss. That's right. Today was my check-in, coach, everything, and I have blown past the 20-pound mark. I absolutely love PhD weight loss. I'll tell you why I love PhD weight loss. I'm being 100% honest with you on this. Because A, it has simplified what to eat for me. I was somebody who has food anxiety. They would think, oh, my God, I wake up in the morning, what am I going to eat? Well, I want to eat something healthy, but I also want to eat something that I like, and what am I going to do? And they send you 85% of the food. And so I don't have that anxiety anymore. I know it's like, okay, I got cereal here, I got soup there, I got a hot chocolate, I got the PhD-approved products. I love them. It makes my life so much easier. And I feel like I'm in control. And for a while, with my weight, that was one of my biggest issues, was I felt like I wasn't in control. And that's why I love the PhD weight loss program. Now, I'm not in control in terms of, okay, now I lost 4 pounds or 3 pounds or whatever. But when I'm on the program and I'm following the program, I see the results, which that gives me the control. I absolutely love it. I like the motivating. I like the coaching. I like it all. Go online to myphdweightloss.com and check it out for yourself. Learn about the program and the coaching guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. They're the official partners of the Clemson Tigers organization and fans. Online at myphdweightloss.com.
He knows the ins and outs of the Titans and isn't afraid to give his opinion.
Traylon Burks needs a massive offseason.
He's Jonathan Hutton of Outkick.
I don't see how they make a move without going to Ryan Tannehill.
Catch him every Monday at 10:30 on Chase and Michelle and every Wednesday at noon on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Hutton is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The FedEx St. Jude Championship returns to TPC Southwind, August 9th through the 13th. Don't miss your chance to witness the top 70 players from the PGA Tour season battle it out in the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Only 50 players will make it through Memphis. Don't miss your chance to watch the drama unfold. Daily grounds and upgraded ticket options are on sale now at FedExChampionship.com.
3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
312 Pizza Company is a proud sponsor of Nashville Sounds Baseball on 102.5 The Game.
Seems like everything costs more these days. Food, utilities, medical costs, you name it. But as prices go up, our family budget stays the same. Fortunately, with Farm Bureau Health Plan's Core Choice coverage, we can save $3,600 a year compared to the leading competitor. And we've got better coverage with a lower premium, lower deductible, free telehealth visits, and access to one of the largest networks available. Start saving today at fbhp.com or visit your local Farm Bureau office.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one.
It's absurd. Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
DeAndre Hopkins and trying to figure out that fit, because I think Tennessee is going to be down this year. You still have Tannehill as your quarterback and King at the running back position, but they don't have any offensive playmakers, and they're kind of a little bit in, I don't want to call it a rebuild or retool, whatever you want to say. So they may be able to afford DeAndre Hopkins at his asking price, which I think is going to be the floor of what OBJ got, $15 million out in Baltimore. But do you want to go into a situation when you're a 31-year-old receiver and go into a potential rebuilding situation? But I'm sure Mike Vrabel is giving him a great sell job on why don't listen to what's the media and all the talking heads out there like us are talking about. We have a very good football team. I'm a very good head coach, and I'll guarantee you we're going to be very competitive in a AFC South division that doesn't really have a dominant team.
There you go. That was Spielman. That sounds more like it. My guy, Rick Spielman on NFL Radio. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I also, by the way, loving that cut, how he's like, they got Tannehill at quarterback and King at running back. Oh, God. Texter says, I love that people are sleeping on the Titans as if they're just a can of corn. In no scenario are the Patriots better than the Titans and definitely have less of a shot at winning their own division. Agreed. I mean, when people talk about this DeAndre Hopkins thing, there's a bunch of things that really just piss me off. And it's funny because I'm learning more about myself on a consistent basis. There are certain things that I shouldn't care about that just grind my freaking gears. Like this Saquon Barkley situation with the Giants. Whatever the best offer that Saquon Barkley gets on Monday at 3:59 p.m. Eastern time, he should take from the Giants. Because I don't know if you've looked at the running back market, Saquon, but they do not pay those guys top dollar anymore. And not only that, the question is, well, if they don't have me, what can they do? Well, Dalvin Cook and Zeke Elliott are out there, and there'll be more of those guys out there next year. If you sign, they'll probably guarantee you 2 years worth of money. You've been hurt over the years. We need to keep that in mind. And you get to be a star in New York. So just take the deal. And when people disagree with that, it just drives me crazy. It drives me freaking crazy when I hear people talk about this DeAndre situation, and it's like, the Titans. And then when it's the Patriots, it's like, oh, yeah, Belichick and O'Brien. And it's like, dude, the Patriots suck. The Patriots have been lousy since Tom Brady left. Tom Brady made the playoffs every year that Tom Brady was gone. Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. Tom Brady had another Falcons-like comeback. If that moron Bruce Arians could just line the defense up, they probably would have beaten the Rams, and they might have won another Super Bowl. Brady is the reason the Patriots were good. The decision's been made. It's over. And yet people talk about the Patriots like, oh, yeah, if he goes there, they're in a division with Aaron Rodgers and the Buffalo Bills and all these receivers in Miami. What are we talking about? Oh, it just grinds my gears. Oh. Texter says, I think the Titans are going to sign him, but DeAndre Hopkins is going to take his time because the longer he waits, the less he has to practice. I do wonder if the 25th is a soft deadline or even a hard deadline. Texter into the text line says, the issue so far with Rand Carthon are what happens when you hire a general manager that has no experience. I mean, John Robinson didn't have a lot of rookie mistakes. And I'm not doing this, I promise you. Unlike the Laviolette and John Hines thing where I constantly compared them because I thought it was ridiculous how John Hines got the benefit of the doubt for everything and that everybody got mad at Peter. I'm not bringing up John Robinson to constantly do this with Rand Carthon and say, well, John Robinson didn't. I'm not doing that. I promise. But there weren't a lot of rookie mistakes at the beginning with John. Texter into the text line goes, after hearing what we heard in Northwestern, and I am translating a lot of what was written by saying that. After what was written about Northwestern with the Titans' first-round pick, and that the second-round pick is more interested in marketing than football, tell me why we shouldn't be fans of Rand Carthon. Oh, man. Texter says, you cannot finger point at Rand Carthon. It is a collaborative effort. If they fail, they all go down. All I know is the Titans lost 7 games to end last year. I think 3 or 4 of which, I want to say 4 of which, were after they fired John Robinson, and Mike Vrabel got not one sniff of blame. I mean, what Mike Vrabel did keeping Todd Downing on the staff was borderline criminal. I mean, the fact that after that first year, he kept Downing on the staff, and then Downing continued his bozoery into the second year, in which made it obvious that he was the problem. I mean, I don't know how Vrabel could let that happen. And Vrabel gets not one hint of blame. So you can tell me that, oh, no, it's a collaborative process and they'll both get the finger pointed at them. But I'm just telling you what reality says, which is for whatever reason it is, Mike Vrabel never gets blamed. And social media, the Friday night of the draft, when everybody was yelling and screaming because they hated Will Levis and they didn't understand why an injured running back in the 3rd round would be a good pick when you don't have a receiver, the anger was not pointed at Vrabel. Even if Vrabel was equally as culpable as Rand Carthon. And again, I'm just saying that. Like, I'm just telling you that that's a fact. I am not telling you that is a well-warranted fact. But it is a fact. Texter says, the people that are talking about Trevor Lawrence makes me sick. Lawrence is not that great. The Titans had to lose 7 in a row so they could make the playoffs. Trevor Lawrence played a game in London last year where he got outdueled by Russell Wilson. Trevor Lawrence is a fine quarterback right now. And he may get better. He should get better. At his age and talent level, he should get better. But I'm not going to just assume that he's going to get better. I'm not going to anoint him into the Joe Burrow class. When Joe Burrow says something like, our championship window is my entire career, he's telling the truth. And I think everybody knows, yep, I do not feel that way about Trevor Lawrence. So in order for me to think that you're going to be in that class, I think you should have to do something that makes us all think you're going to be in that class and not just be a really high-end prospect. Yeah, some texters in the text line are mad at Rick Spielman. Mad at Rick Spielman's career. Texture says, I think the two players on the Titans with the most career touchdowns are Rob Moore and Mike Vrabel. The Titans desperately need DeAndre Hopkins, and anyone saying the wide receiver room is okay without him is lying. Texture, you need to direct that criticism at Tim Kelly, because I asked Tim Kelly, and in fairness, I mean, Tim Kelly's probably not going to get up there at the podium and say, yeah, Jared, you're right, these receivers suck, so we do need to give him that context of understanding. But he said, oh, no, watch the Cowboy game and see the one catch Racey McMath played. Or the one catch that Racey McMath made. And that's exactly what we can coach him up to be every day. And I heard that, and I was just like, oh, no. Not that. Tommy says it's hilarious how the Titans are the most hurt team 2 years running and still a number 1 seed and lost to the Jags with a third-string quarterback to keep them from the playoffs. Hot take, the Titans get DeAndre Hopkins, stay healthy, and don't be surprised if they're on top of the AFC again, only if this offensive coordinator is not awful like Todd Downing. Let them keep sleeping on us. That comes from Tommy. Let me say this. I'm not predicting it, at least not yet. Official predictions, expectations for the Titan season. You know what's crazy? We're a week and like 2 days away from what is the official expectation day on this program. The Monday that training camp starts, which I believe is the 24th, and I believe training camp opens on the 25th. So that first Monday that we always, the start of training camp, we always do this. I mean, the Nashville Predators could trade for Connor McDavid, and we would still open the show doing this because it is a Stillman and Company tradition in which we divide the games up into subsets of games that the Titans will win, should win, toss up, should lose, and will lose. And that sets our official expectations for the season. So I haven't made those yet. I don't think you're as far away from Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati as everybody's making you out to be. Now, I don't think you're Kansas City, Cincinnati, Buffalo, but I don't think you're as far as everyone's making you out to be. And I certainly think you're a lot closer to Jacksonville and Baltimore than anybody is giving you credit for. 615-737-1025. A change up to the Power Hour. TD will be here at 3:30 with Mike Reese, who made the report that the Titans' offer to DeAndre Hopkins was more aggressive, so we'll get into that with Reese coming up. Coming up next, though, a little bit of a Titans breather. It was a topic on the midday show that I heard and I could not do myself. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. You know that I absolutely love Twice Daily. That's right. They are the best. I go there at least twice daily. Honestly, probably more because there's one right there in my neighborhood. Download the Twice Daily app today and join their loyalty program to unlock special discounts, savings, and so much more. It pays to be a member with Twice Daily, where you'll earn points and save money with every visit. Get what you crave at Twice Daily. Made to order sandwiches, bakery, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Fresh items made to go, hot drink, cold drinks, you name it, and stop by the beer cave and unwind with a cold one. If you're looking for convenience, Twice Daily has you covered. And buy any hot dog piled high with your choice of toppings, a bag of Frito-Lay chips, and your choice of a 20-ounce Coke or Pepsi for only $5 with the app. Offer ends August 28th. That's my friends at Twice Daily. Twice Daily, fresh all day.
It's been an offseason of change for the Nashville Predators.
Still going to be a relatively young roster. Johansson's gone, Duchesne's gone.
The Nashville Predators are interested, potentially, in a Brett Pesce.
They did trade Ekholm, Granlund, Tanner Jeannot.
What's next for Smashville's team?
They want to get younger. They're going to have to move a piece.
We have you covered with every move on your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
Hang on.
It's going to be a wild ride. The PBR Team's champions, the Nashville Stampede, are coming home in a run to defend their title. Stampede Days, August 18th through 20th at Bridgestone Arena. Heart-pounding action you don't want to miss. Tickets start at $20. Get yours today at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com.
Yeah, we coming.
Join us for the ride.
More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for their news, traffic, weather, sports, and a community connection. It's the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. It's critical that we keep AM radio in cars, because when cell and internet services are down, this free emergency service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
In any work environment, the culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. And this month at Cromwell Media, we want to highlight a few people who are celebrating their anniversaries with us. Morning show producer on 102.5 The Game, Nick Keyser, is celebrating 2 years. 102.9 The Buzz hosts Eric Steele and Andy Herring are celebrating 9 years. Sports producer Kenny Adams is celebrating 11 years. And Derek Mason, one of the greatest receivers in Titans history, is celebrating his anniversary with us on 102.5 The Game as well. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Bobby and Rex Road.
Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Stillman and Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
102.5 and 106.3.
Rebound on the score.
Make every play perfect.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
We're going to win the game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. TD with us in 30 minutes. Mike Reese, who covers the Patriots for ESPN.com, will join us. He's the one that had the report on DeAndre Hopkins and the offer that the Titans made being more aggressive than that of the Patriots. So we'll talk to Mike, and TD will be in here for the hour coming up at 3:30. Now, I heard this today listening to the midday show, and it was one of those topics that I said, well, there's no way I can't not do this. And so I did not know that Nashville SC had a game last night. In fact, I told my dad, I was like, what am I supposed to do? There's no baseball tonight? Like, I can't watch the Braves? I mean, what am I supposed to watch on TV? I actually spent time with my family last night. I can't believe I did that. It was awful. Just kidding. But I did not know that Nashville SC had a game until I heard the midday show's Game Center update. And then I heard Caroline bring in the next segment, and she was talking about, Nashville SC setting it up. They played Philadelphia or something. And I was this close to going, Alexa, and turning off the show because, I don't care about Nashville SC, what happened in the game, what didn't happen in the game. And so Willie was talking about how he had been at the game and how exciting the game was last night. And so go ahead, David.
I'll tell you what. I've been to 2 games this year at home in the new stadium. The growing pains that they had the first year, I'm sure, little by little, they've weeded through. And I'll tell you that it's a first-class venue. When you walk in there, obviously the issue is it's jammed into that fairgrounds area. It's not easy to park. Just Wedgwood Avenue. Everybody's coming
I've heard
in.
The parking's a nightmare.
It's not easy, so you got to find your own way to get in there. But that's never been a problem to me. Like, you could say that about Wrigley Field or Fenway, but people figure out how to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're going to want to go.
But the issue that Willie had was more so that after the exciting game that was played yesterday, nobody's talking about it. And as I'm listening to them talk about that, I'm thinking to myself, and I'm saying, nobody's talking about, nobody in my aura is talking about a Nashville SC game. And I have to be honest with you guys. I don't care about Nashville SC. Now, when there was talk about getting the team here, I was as on board as you can be. That's why I laugh at these soccer fanatics that are like, Jared Stillman never talks about Nashville SC. He's a hater. He said that our concession prices were too high. And it's like, hey, I fought publicly for the stadium to get built. So don't think that I'm just chucking you under the bus or that I have a vendetta or some kind of agenda against Nashville SC. The issue is I don't give a crap. And part of the reason why I don't give a crap is because I don't have to give a crap, because a lot of the people in this town do not give a crap about Nashville SC. That's the problem. And I heard Willie talking about, the way the game was last night. It was an intense game, and there was a fight, and there were red cards, and a fan threw a bottle on the field, and the goalie from Nashville SC was turning around saying, no, don't throw that. He's like, if that was a Titans game or even a Predators regular season game, we'd be wall-to-wall with that, with phone lines jammed and people talking about it. I'm like, yes. And that's the problem. And the reason that this problem exists, and they were talking about all the games being on Apple TV, which I'm sure doesn't help, but I don't think that that's the reason why Nashville SC has no buzz. I think the reason why Nashville SC has no buzz is because Nashville SC does not feel the need to branch out and create that buzz. And this has been that way ever since Ian Ayre got put in there as the CEO. And my guess is Ian Ayre, coming from Liverpool, is used to just opening the gates and everybody showing up and everybody caring and everybody whatever, like it's an NFL team. But soccer in the MLS in Nashville, Tennessee, is not like Liverpool. You have to make the effort to get people to care. And I'm not convinced that Nashville SC does that. And that's the problem. Nashville SC, and I heard Willie say this too, he talked about the fact that, there's so many fans at the stadium that he thinks are only soccer fans. Like, do not care about the Titans, do not care about the Predators. They're just Nashville SC fans. And so they can get enough people into the building like that, and they make their money, and they're fine that way. Well, if that's the case, then that's never going to work in the mainstream. And I think the difference between the Predators and Nashville SC is that the Predators work their butts off to try to get hockey into the mainstream. I mean, Pete Weber and Terry Crisp and Barry Trotz, when this first thing, they were out in the community all the time. Now, the Predators winning at a high level, that is what catapulted them into the mainstream on a more consistent basis. But the Predators have done everything. I mean, the reason why this radio station started as a sports station, why it went from 102.5 The Party to 102.5 The Game, is because the Predators were looking for a radio home because they wanted to be in one place for fans to listen to at all times. Not, we'll have you on this day, but if the Vols play, then we got to move you to this channel, and then if we put you on this way, they just want to be on one channel. And that's why they wanted to be more accessible. Nashville SC, I mean, I don't even know if last night's game was on the radio. I have no idea. And I'm not sure they care. And that's the problem. The problem is soccer has this pretentious feeling to it where it's, our farts don't smell, and it's the great game of soccer every time, football, every time you talk about it. And then every single soccer fan, that wears the jersey on like a daily basis, like to school, those guys, like, if you are not super into soccer, then they think you're crazy. And half of those people care more about the international soccer than they care about this soccer. And it's like, well, you're never going to grow your fan base if that's all you care about. If all you care about are your diehard fans, then you will never matter in the mainstream of Nashville. It's bad enough that the MLS playoffs are happening during football season, which makes it even tougher to care about because not only are we paying attention to Titan season, but we're also paying attention to college football and everything else. But your games aren't on television, and I don't feel like you as an organization, and I'm talking directly to Nashville SC, I don't feel like you as an organization do enough to get people to care. And if all you care about is selling tickets and having a building full of diehards and saying, we've made our money, that's it, that's all we care about, then fine, you're doing a great job, I guess. I don't know. They say they sell out every game, but then I see a bunch of yellow chairs in the crowd, so I'm not convinced that it's as completely packed as they say, but I don't go to these games, so I don't know. And maybe if you tried harder, maybe I would go to a Nashville SC game. But you don't try hard. You don't try hard at all. And you don't try hard on the parking front. They don't try hard at all. They just sit back and open the gates and say, all right, let's play soccer. And that's fine. If that's all you care about, that's fine. But if you want to matter in the mainstream of this town, you have to try to matter in the mainstream of this town. You're not the NFL. Stop acting like it. If all you care about your diehard fans, congratulations, you got them. That's good. Your low season ticket prices, I think, helped get a lot of those people in at the beginning. I think there's a lot of people that say it's a good time when they go. The parking's kind of a nightmare, and the concessions, I have my beef with that. But, everybody that goes says they have a good time, which is great. But make it more about that. Make it more about the good time that people are having. Make it more about the fact that the team is winning and that they have a superstar player. Make it more about that. Promote your sport better. Do a good job of that. Try to get more. Ask. Push. Just try. You know how many people texted into the text line after we sat down with Barry Trotz after the NHL draft and we talked with Barry for 30 minutes? And how many people texted in and said, I'm not even a hockey fan, but I'm a Barry Trotz fan now. Where's that? Barry was not contractually obligated to come on the show after the draft or anything like that. And he certainly wasn't contractually obligated to sit down for 30 minutes and basically tell us about the entire plan for the organization. But he did it, and that goes a far way. And with SC, I'll say this. Things got a little personal between me and SC last year, and I do feel a little disrespected by the fact that I fought for that deal and that stadium and everything else, and nobody over there seems to give a rat's ass about that, and that's fine. That's their business. But if they're good and if they're worth talking about, especially this time of the year where, again, I enjoy doing this job 12 months out of the year, and I think there's always something interesting to talk about, but this time of the year is certainly a lot different than, say, October. You should be pushing your product and not just opening the gates and sitting back and saying, hey, who wants to come and watch the great game of football? Well, you're going to have to buy Apple TV Plus if you want to do that. Are your games on the radio? Yeah, they might be. Sometimes. Kind of. It's like the app thing. Where it's, sometimes you get the special app. And let me tell you something. I hate when I go to a TV to watch something and log in, download. I don't even like it when I have to scan a QR code with my phone that half the time doesn't work. And then I'm waiting for the screen to say, okay, now you got it. Okay, it's good. People just want to watch the game. They just want to listen to the game. And so I think Nashville SC, now that the newness of the product is worn off, I do think that financially, I'm sure they're not in any trouble. Their owner's a gajillionaire, and the MLS, I think, makes decent money, and I'm sure they got paid by Apple for that TV deal, and they sell a lot of tickets. So I'm sure they're not hurting for money. But as far as interest, they got a lot of work to do, and it would be nice to see the effort of them to try to do that. And what's going to happen, and I can already tell you, people are going to hear this rant about that, and they are going to make it sound like I am the problem. They are going to say, well, Jared Stillman has a negative attitude, or Jared Stillman said this about us, and it'll be some kind of victimship that's like, oh, Jared Stillman's the problem and not the fact that what I'm telling you is the truth, which is you need to do a better job of promoting your product. That's the truth. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. I'm sure people want to weigh in on that. We'll get to your phone, 615-737-1025. TD and Mike Reese at 3:30 for the TD Power Hour. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
this fall.
Andy, 24-21, your final.
The Game.
All by himself for a one-hand flush.
Gets bigger.
The door's on the board.
Your new home for Vanderbilt Athletics is 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan. Football, men's basketball, baseball, and women's basketball all live here. Your home for Vanderbilt Athletics is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
In countries around the world, people don't have free speech. They can be harassed, jailed, and punished for expressing their honest opinions. That's why for more than 20 years, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, has been fighting to ensure that America never abandons its commitment to free expression. Because FIRE believes that free speech makes free people. Join the free speech movement at thefire.org. Paid for by thefire.org.
20 years ago, when Genesis Diamonds came to Nashville, this was one of the most expensive cities in America for diamond jewelry. Our radical approach and no middleman pricing changed that forever. And now we're doing it again, this time with lab-grown diamonds. We were shocked to find out what the other mall stores and the other big radio advertisers were charging. They sell their platinum 4-carat VS2 lab-grown earrings for $15,720. We sell them for $6,900. Their 3.08 carat lab-grown round diamond with G-Color VS2 clarity is $10,045. We sell it for $5,900. Looks like they might be going back to the old ways. If they're charging this much on lab-grown diamonds, kind of makes you wonder what else they're selling at the same outrageous markup. Nashville, we are not going backwards. At Genesis Diamonds, our non-commissioned trusted advisors are here to give you all the information with details you can trust and prices you can count on. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
This is Evan Bass for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. For most of us, sex is a big part of our relationship. So when something like erectile dysfunction starts affecting intimacy, it can be a real problem. But what you may not know is that ED doesn't just affect you, it can be tough on your partner as well. Plus, if you have ED, you know how it can make you feel. The truth is, we see a lot of guys who have depression, frustration, and even relationship issues because of ED. But we don't want ED to impact you or the one you love anymore. The Tennessee Men's Clinic tackles ED. Our urologists and medical providers take a comprehensive approach and have treated thousands of men with treatments that are successful in nearly 90% of cases. Even if your hormones are off, or if pills, wave therapy, or other treatments have left you hanging, the Tennessee Men's Clinic will work hard to help you get your sex life back, perhaps performing like you haven't in a long time. So call us. Your first appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices in Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Tonight, I've got a bonfire at the lake with friends. First, I need a spritz of my off-clean feel. My summer style is all about fun and not about... I don't need mosquito bite red clashing with this crochet top. It's purple, it's bright. I could definitely pair it with my amethyst eyeshadow palette. The best part is, ugly mosquitoes won't be messing with my fiery vibes. With off-clean feel, I've got 8 hours of not sticky, fragrance-free protection. Get your pre-party protection on with off-clean feel. SC Johnson, a family company.
Want to weigh in on the conversation?
Some brain booster.
Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All kinds of controversy. It's a spicy game. at one point, the second penalty kick, and you probably saw this, Nick, Philadelphia scores right in the end zone where the support groups that beat the drums and get the chants going, and they're awesome, by the way.
Name?
I was sitting
Soccer Moses?
Soccer Moses,
Soccer
yeah.
Moses.
But one of the people from that section fired a water bottle and hit the player from Philadelphia and hit him pretty. It wasn't just like lobbed in there and it bounced up. It hit him. It was
an aggressive hit.
Square.
Yeah.
What?
Somebody else threw a beer can that had a lot of beer in there because it was coming in hard. Didn't hit him, but it all of a sudden, Joe Willis, the goalie, turns and yells and it says, "No, you can't do that." Like everybody, even on the Nashville SC team, was saying, "Cool it, we can't have that." So my point is, nobody's talking about that today. Like if that game were on TV last night, and you were building a little bit more of what I would think you're trying to do, you would have a little more presence on shows like this. But it doesn't seem to be that important to the team. It's kind of like, hey, we know we got a good product. If you want to come to the game, great. We got people that are covering the game. If you want to go find them, do it. But, like, I don't see them really reaching out, trying to grow that fan base with casual fans. That's just my observation.
There you go. That was Willie earlier today. And I made this joke that Nashville SC, because they have all these fans, right, that love Nashville SC. But it's not a mainstream thing. I'm just not going to make the joke. I decided, as I said, I made this joke. I decided to not make the joke. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Texter says, I am a big fan, and there are a lot of them, but it's just not in your realm. They keep the place packed. And I'm like, make it in my realm. Make it matter to me. Vanderbilt basketball, for instance. Now, I grew up a Vanderbilt basketball fan, but I haven't cared about Vanderbilt basketball since Kevin Stallings was the coach. And so all of a sudden, the last couple of weeks of the season, football season's over, they beat Tennessee, they beat Kentucky in the SEC tournament. They're on the bubble. Like, that made me interested. I went to the Vandy Mississippi State basketball game because both teams were on the bubble, and I thought it'd be a great basketball game, and it was. And so even though the coach hates me, like, even though that, like, yes, like, make me interested. And there's just nothing that makes me interested about Nashville SC, and part of it is I don't think they do the effort to get the people like me to be interested. And again, I'm not trying to brag because I don't think I'm the only person in the world that can do this job, but I am the one who does this job. So, like, if you wanted your product to be more mainstream, you would find your way into mattering, in this realm. And they do not care. And that's fine. But if that's the case, you're only going to have your fans that show up, and you're not going to attract new fans. Texture says, Jared, you're not wrong. I would love to keep up with Nashville SC, but you really have to want to keep up with Nashville SC, and it's not easy. The reason why I started listening to this station is there was the Predators flagship. They need to do a better job with marketing and promotions, for crying out loud, and make it easier to find and be involved with their product. It's funny because they have this streaming-only deal, and I don't know. As the regional sports networks continue to fail, I don't know if ultimately that is something that the other sports would go to. But the NFL would never do that. Broadcast television matters to the NFL. And before you tell me that, they're putting a playoff game on Peacock, just know that Comcast basically forced the NFL into that. That was not something they wanted to do. But they had a carrier disagreement with Comcast, which is the largest cable provider in the country, and they were going to lose NFL Network on all of those TVs, and so they had to figure out a way to make the deal work. So they don't want to be on streaming. But with Nashville SC, it's not even that. It's like Nashville SC just doesn't do anything outside of, hey, we have the games. Here's the tickets. Come to the games. Go to the game. Knock yourself out. And I'm just, give me a reason to care. Texture says, Jared, soccer is bigger than baseball, and it's definitely a growing sport. I'm not a soccer fan, but my son and his friends love the soccer team, and it's a hit with the younger generation. Soccer, in my lifetime, has always been a more played sport by the younger community, that's fine. I'm just going to tell you right now, if we had a Major League Baseball team, there's no way it wouldn't be in the mainstream here. There is no way that it would not be a mainstream sport. That if we had a Major League Baseball team, now that doesn't mean that they're going to get talked about every day because, sometimes this past season, once the Predators decided to pack it up, it was hard to talk about them every day, and we didn't. Now, when they're really good, we talk about them every day. But think about this. If we had a baseball team and our baseball team was as good as our soccer team and the Yankees were coming in for a 3-game set, you think we'd be sitting here looking at every time DeAndre Hopkins wipes his butt? Or do you think we'd be sitting here saying like, oh, wow, 3 with the Yankees, do we think they did it right? Do you think that they did it right in order to set the rotation this way? And maybe my stomach got a little bit bigger than my eyes got bigger than my stomach when it came to Nashville SC because that's what I thought Nashville SC was going to be. I thought Nashville SC was going to be kind of our summer elixir. Like that this is what we were going to be talking about during the summer. Was Nashville SC. But they just don't do, it's like Willie said. It should be a big topic, but it's not. 615-737-1025. TD is going to join us for the TD Power Hour. Mike Reese, ESPN.com, who has been on top of the Patriots side of the DeAndre Hopkins news. He will join us coming up with TD. And, of course, we'll have TD for the full hour, so get your questions in like we always do. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Those are my guys. Hiller is keeping you chilling all summer with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month to take advantage of these special deals. Like when you purchase select new HVAC systems, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Pengua 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. Again, I have a cousin who lives in Austin who works for Yeti, and I don't get those kind of products. And get special features on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater. Stay chillin' all summer long. Call Hiller today, and Hiller's work is backed by the Happy OB or services free guarantee. And I know this because I use Hiller. Hiller offers convenient, quick online booking. Select the appointment time that works for you and get an instant confirmation. And these deals are only happening for a limited time, so make sure you call now. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
All the big plays.
Henry up the middle. Makes a little move. 10, 5, touchdown.
All the big stories.
Should the Titans go after DeAndre Hopkins?
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee.
You're going to make a trade like this.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan?
The door's on the board.
Such superstar players.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. Being arrested doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. Being served with custody paperwork doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. It may feel that way, but if you have Amanda J. Gentry representing you, you can feel confident that you're going to have the best quality representation in all of Middle Tennessee. Amanda J. Gentry goes wherever justice demands. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
This is it. The legendary live band Fish returns to the road this fall. Fish, Friday, October 6th, Saturday, October 7th, and Sunday, October 8th, Bridgestone Arena. On sale this Saturday, 10 a.m. at livenation.com.
Tonight, I've got a bonfire at the lake with friends. First, I need a spritz of my off clean feel. My summer style is all about fun and not about... I don't need mosquito bite red clashing with this crochet top. It's purple, it's bright. I could definitely pair it with my amethyst eyeshadow palette. The best part is, ugly mosquitoes won't be messing with my fiery vibes. With Off Clean Feel, I've got 8 hours of not sticky, fragrance-free protection. Get your pre-party protection on with Off Clean Feel. SC Johnson, a family company.
The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is back in Nashville August 4th through 6th and is a must-see experience that has something for everyone to enjoy. 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan has all your coverage leading to the race, including driver interviews with Chase McCabe, ticket giveaways, and much more.
94.9 94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville. Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win. Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
What's happening in Nashville? This is Scott Van Pelt. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You think that we get this third team that gets into the fray here, or is it just going to come down to New England or Tennessee, and he's pretty much waiting until training camp to sign?
Oh, I think there's more than two teams in it. I just don't think the third team's going to pay. I mean, I could see Buffalo being in it. I could see Kansas City being in it. I could see any team that wants to get a bargain for a slot receiver in it, but I don't think they're going to get the market to drive it up. And I think he's going to have to rely on a receiver getting injured or a team becoming desperate. I think the only team he'll get more money out of will be Tennessee, because Tennessee certainly could use him. They need him. They don't have enough skill, they don't have enough explosiveness offensively. They certainly could use him.
Mike Reese is reporting that the Titans have been, quote, more aggressive to this point. So that goes in line with what you've been saying, that Tennessee could be the team that has the urgency to go ahead and sign him there. If you had your best guess, do you think he ends up in Tennessee, or does he go to New England, or do you think Tennessee is where he goes?
My guess is it's going to be Tennessee, because I think Tennessee will pay. I think Tennessee will stretch a little bit here.
There you go. That was Lombardi saying he thinks that the Titans are going to land DeAndre Hopkins. TD is with us for the TD Power Hour. Hello, TD.
What's going on?
All right, let's get to it. Your colleague at ESPN, Mike Reese, who had that report,
the GOAT,
joins us now on the program. So, Mike, let's start there. Your report, which was part of kind of a notes column at ESPN.com, made huge waves here in Nashville about the Titans' offer when it came to DeAndre Hopkins. Yesterday, we saw the Vegas odds shift dramatically in favor of the Titans. What's kind of the latest that you're hearing on the Patriots front, Mike?
Yeah, it's always hard, guys. First of all, great to be with you. It's always hard to know, the when you get information, how that evolves, from really, and it's, I was told multiple people who I trust that are somewhat connected to this situation just described the Titans as being more aggressive at this point than the Patriots. And I don't know if that's changed from the time that I learned that information, but I'm operating off that script.
Even though you were told that the Titans have been more aggressive, the Devontae Parker signing, does that have any bearings on what the Patriots can do as far as offering, and was it connected at all to wanting to get Hopkins?
TD, totally separate situation.
Okay.
Like it wasn't like, oh, they signed Parker and so they're out on Hopkins, or they signed Parker to create more space for, like, none of that. Like a total separate entity. And that deal, like this, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but sometimes when these deals get reported, it's not the full context.
Yeah.
That deal for Parker was 3 years, base value of $17 million. So that's just over, my math isn't great, but just over $5 million a year. Like, we're talking about a different neighborhood for DeAndre Hopkins. And if we're not, it's one of the best bargains in football. Right?
And see, that's the thing. It's if you look it up, it says 3 years worth up to $33 million. And that's where, as you mentioned, sometimes these things get reported a little crazy.
That's right. So, yeah, totally to me a separate entity. They like Parker for his ability to sort of open up their offense. When he's on the field, they actually rank really highly in terms of average yards per, reception. When he's not on the field, they miss that number goes way down. So, to me, Hopkins is going to be a little bit of a different type of player anyway.
Mike Reese is with us, ESPN. Mike, I do wonder this. Like TD said, even when DeAndre was in New England, he said that, just what he was hearing was that the Titans were confident that they were going to sign Hopkins. Would you say just what you've heard when it comes to the Patriots? What would you say their feelings are towards whether or not they're going to sign Hopkins?
So I think they felt like that the visit was good. Like it was a really good visit, and that there's mutual interest there. Ultimately, what I've learned just in my time in covering football is, it's one thing to say that, but then when you get to the negotiating table, you really find out what the interest is once you start crunching the numbers, right? And so to me, it comes back to the numbers, and I'm not privy to where that stands right now. But generally, the Patriots, I would say, all it takes is for Bill Belichick to snap his fingers and say, we're going to go get him, and it could change. But generally, I would say that's not always the way it goes. That's not the majority of the way. It doesn't go that way the majority of time in New England.
And speaking of Coach Belichick, it just seems a lot of times when there's free agents that the Patriots sign, it's a guy that he has a lot of respect for. If you kind of jog your memory, do you recall like any particular times where he has spoken about Hopkins?
TD, last December, Patriots were going to play the Cardinals. I think it was a Monday night game in Arizona. And he said Hopkins is as good as any receiver he's ever gone up against. Talked about his skill set, open even when he's covered, was as kind and, felt genuine, didn't feel like the typical let's build up the opponent, and then knock them down. And then they met. If you remember, there was a great NFL Films clip. They met on the field before the game, and they basically were telling each other they loved each other, which was crazy.
What do you make, Mike, of the relationship between DeAndre Hopkins and Bill O'Brien? I know that it was being reported that there was no hang-up between the two, but I almost wondered if that was DeAndre and maybe even Bill O'Brien saying beggars can't be choosers here. But there was some high drama, because I remember Michael Irvin coming out and saying that, Bill O'Brien and DeAndre Hopkins had their issues. Has that been settled? What do we know about that?
So it's a good question, and I honestly don't know. I don't have any great insight to pass along. I would just more speak from, I guess, the 30,000 foot view, which is, it wouldn't be the first time a player had an issue with a coach, left, went somewhere else, saw what it's like somewhere else, and maybe altered their viewpoint of what they left, right? And maybe same for the coach. Hey, maybe you get away from a time when you were the coach, general manager, and maybe made some decisions you look back on now and say, I maybe would have done something different, So it's entirely plausible to me that they could come together and sort of put that behind them. Whether that's actually the case, honestly, guys, I'd just be speculating. I don't know that.
When a player is making a decision like this, obviously they look at the team, and specifically a receiver is going to look at the quarterback. Mac Jones, where is the opinion of him as far as being able to elevate as a quarterback with Bill O'Brien there calling the plays?
TD, I think this is really interesting part of the discussion because a couple factors. Mac Jones as a rookie in 2021 in that Josh McDaniels offense was sort of heading in the right direction. Like that was a positive rookie season. If you remember, people were saying of all the rookie first-round picks that year, maybe Matt, instead of being the fifth one, maybe could have been the first or second after that first year. So they tear it down. They do something totally unconventional and different this past season, and we see the regression from Mac. Bill O'Brien came into the NFL with the Patriots under Josh McDaniels. So to me, I sort of put it together and say, I think it's a pretty fair guess to say that it's going to look closer to the rookie year than last year. Now, add on to this, TD. This is where I think it's really interesting. And going to the other point about Hopkins and Bill O'Brien and what's that relationship like? Hopkins he knows the offense. He was in it. And look at his production when he was in it. Mm-hmm. Like if he's signing a deal, like any deal he signs, whether it's Tennessee, New England, somewhere else, like it's going to have a base value and then it's going to be up to, a certain number. Like there's going to be incentives in there. I think that's just the way it is for a player at this time of the market. Like if you're him, you got to at least be thinking, well, I know what I can do in that offense because look what I did, right? So I think that's another layer to the whole conversation.
Mike Reese is with us. Do you think that training camp, because we know how much Bill values practice, we hear all the time that DeAndre could wait until training camp or through training camp and an injury somewhere else could up the price. Yeah. But Vrabel's a big practice guy, which I know you know, and Bill is a huge practice guy, which I know you know. Do you think that training camp could be some kind of a deadline here or no?
I'm going to say no. Only because so much can change on a day-to-day basis in the league, right? Like all it would take is for, Juju Smith-Schuster up here in New England to go down, in the first full pads practice, or you hate to even mention it, right? Knock on wood. You don't want to see any player get injured. Or likewise in Tennessee, Burks goes down or whatever, whoever. You know what I mean? Like, so I think setting like a deadline like that is, I think it's too absolute. Now, that being said, I could see the team saying, like our offer is just, it is what it is. We're going to sort of move forward. And then maybe the offer slides down a little bit if you're from the team standpoint, but I don't see it ever being like we're moving on entirely because camp started, if that makes sense.
Even though your report has said the Titans have been more aggressive, their offer, et cetera, if you had to look at the big picture, do you think that the Patriots have a better chance of signing Hopkins, or would it be the Titans? What have you gathered from that perspective?
So, TD, it's hard. Here's the missing piece. Like, what I want to hear from Hopkins, D-Hop, what's important to him, and without that, it's hard to answer the question. Now, I would say most people, not just players, but this includes probably the three of us in this conversation, money's probably going to be pretty high on the list for all of us, right? Like, we have families, like we're trying to create a future for ourselves. And in the end, I would say whichever team is going to offer more money, that's where I would lean. And I heard the clip from Michael Lombardi, who I always listen to that GM Shuffle podcast. I think he has good insight. Like, what he said made a lot of sense to me, which was that what did he say? I think it was that he felt like the Titans would extend and probably have the biggest offer, if I heard him right.
Yeah, Mike, I think one thing that I've noticed over the years is that it doesn't seem like Belichick gets into many bidding wars. And I do wonder that, let's say training camp comes and the action picks up a little bit. Could you see Bill and the Patriots raising the price and going into a bidding war with the Titans? Titans have a new GM. I don't know how he'd react to it. But how would you see Belichick playing that?
So that look, you never say never. But I would say in general, that's not the way the Patriots, in my history covering them, that's usually not the way it works. Like, I'm sure there are exceptions, but they generally assess the market, set the price that they feel like is where they're willing to go. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, yeah, they might move a little bit, but it's usually not significant.
Real quick, I want to shift the gears. Obviously, Mike Vrabel, a former Patriot, he's going to have his ceremony there in New England. What do you foresee that being like?
TD, I'm so excited for that. He's getting inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame, and it's happening, a bye weekend, I think, for the Titans in October. And I covered him his whole career here, and I think one of the clutch, 3-time Super Bowl winner, and I think one of the most impressive things that he did up here was I think he missed just 3 games in his entire career. And it took a broken arm to get him off the field. We were talking about that among the Hall of Fame voters, because some media members are part of this committee that, nominate players, coaches, and then it goes to the fans for a vote. And I remember him coming back, guys, and he had a cast on his arm. And it was I think he represents, to me, a lot of what those first 3 Patriots Super Bowl championship teams were all about. I think those are always great ceremonies, and I'm happy for Mike that he's going to get his day up here.
I think there may be a fear that one day that when Bill Belichick hangs it up, that they may try to swoop in and grab Mike Vrabel. And we hear that every now and then from fans saying, is that a possibility? And, it seems like a big olive branch from the Patriots to put him in the Hall of Fame. Mike Reese, ESPN, great stuff. Mike, thank you so much for taking time out and joining us.
Always. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike Reese joining us on the program. So we'll react to that, and we'll get TD, the latest on what you've heard about DeAndre Hopkins and your reaction to yesterday's shifting of the market and everything else. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
right, box 2, run, double catch. He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, take!
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Yeehaw, folks! Cowboy Clyde back, and I'm teaming up with Harness LLC to tell you about the Murray County Sheriff's Rodeo happening Friday and Saturday night. Kids under 11 are getting in free, with the first 100 of them getting a free cowboy hat. All proceeds go to help reserve deputy programs like Shop with a Cop and School Resource Officer programs to teach our youngins about the dangers of drugs, tobacco, and alcohol. Pony rides, a petting zoo, bareback bronc riding, steer wrestling, bull riding, and woo doggy, you'll have a great time with the family. So get your cowboy boots on and get ready for a good time that won't cost you a fortune. The Murray County Sheriff's Rodeo just over yonder at the Murray County Park in Columbia. Friday and Saturday, gates open at 5:30, show starts at 8. If you need more info, go to MurrayCountySheriffsRodeo.com. That's MurraySheriffsRodeo.com. It's all brought to you by
Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
Hey, what's up? It's Chase McCabe, and I've been telling you about PhD weight loss for a couple months now. I'm down 22 pounds since I have been on the program, and I love it. It's been set up by Dr. Ashley Lucas, obviously a best-selling author. She's put this whole program together, and it is showing results. The thing I like about it is it's custom-made for me. I have a coach, Rachel, that I talk to weekly, and she adjusts the plan for me as I go. 85% of the food is provided. You can use your own food as well, and your coach will help you through that entire process. And that's what I love. Like I said, it's made for me with those customized meal plans. Here's the other part that's awesome. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That is their offer guarantee. So check it out, myphdweightloss.com. That is the website. You can go and read more about it and sign up. myphdweightloss.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day 1 of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
DeAndre Hopkins, even though he tends to be an upfield outside receiver, you can't single cover him.
Nope.
And you got to give the average corner needs help against him, and then finishing for him is, I mean, he's amazing when he finishes. He can go up and win a lot of 50-50 balls.
That's right.
So couple that with the big horse running the football and an offensive approach that wants to run the football. What's your anecdote to that play action? And man, this guy's a play action machine because he can run by anybody. So, he would help Tannehill immensely.
TD, I got my hopes up on DeAndre Hopkins, especially yesterday. When I saw the odd shift, I got my hopes up. I'm going to be crushed if the Titans do not sign DeAndre Hopkins. So let's break this up into two different, reporter versus speculator. Is there anything new you're hearing on the DeAndre front?
No, I haven't heard anything new on that front, so I'm not going to front like I did. It's just kind of been the same situation, right? They've been confident that they have presented a very valid case for him to come here, and they feel that they have a very good chance of signing him, and that's pretty much where it is. I do know this, just from kind of poking around, they're not going to be desperate. They're going to give him a chance to go ahead and let the process kind of go through, and at some point they're going to have to reconvene because obviously it's something that they want to happen.
Do you know if training camp is an unofficial deadline or a...
I don't know any deadlines or anything like that. So that's something that, we're going to see in a little over a couple weeks.
All right, now that we're done with the interrogation, what do you think? When you see the odd shift the way they do, when Lombardi says what he says on his podcast, and all of a sudden, everybody's hopes go through the roof. I think they're going to sign DeAndre Hopkins, but now I'm almost worried that I'm going to just be crushed if they don't sign him. What do you kind of read into that?
I think if you look at it, because Mike Reese made an excellent point about the offense being the same. So these are the two teams, or him knowing the offense.
Sure.
These are the two teams where I think that he can wait it out and still hit the ground running, right? But that being said, Bill Polian made an excellent point too, and this is one that I've spoken on multiple times. You look at Derrick Henry in the backfield, that's going to dictate a lot of one-on-one coverage on the outside, and any receiver that's worth his weight is going to be able to eat off of one-on-one coverage. And I know he has to be looking at that, right? And you look at these incentives. So he may not get as many targets, but I think it's going to be more of a quality perspective as opposed to quantity, to where he'll probably get, 90 to 100 targets here, but they're going to be legit opportunities for him to get busy and do what he does.
I think DeAndre Hopkins is the perfect puzzle piece for where the Titans are right now because, I think they put him at the outside receiver position, and then Phillips and Moore and those guys battle for that slot position. And then on some plays, things may be better for Chris Moore, Nick Westbrook-Akina, and then other plays may be better for Kyle Phillips. But they've got their two outside guys. They've got their tight end. They've got their running back. They've got their quarterback. They've got their third down back. I mean, I feel like with the Patriots, yes, DeAndre would certainly be on the field and would get the ball because he's DeAndre, and the other guys they have are not DeAndre. But they're certainly going to want Tyquan Thornton on the outside because they used a high pick on him. They're certainly going to want Juju Smith-Schuster out there because they paid him a lot of money. They're definitely going to throw to the two tight ends because they're paying them a lot of money. So I think it's a little different. And they don't have a veteran quarterback.
Yeah.
And so I don't need to be convinced on why I think DeAndre would fit. And I do think DeAndre kind of understands some of that too. I'm just worried that the more time goes on, the more a variable could pop in here, or that some people say if DeAndre wanted to be here, he would just take the deal.
It's not necessarily the case. I mean, look, the one thing that he would have to gain if he signed right now, okay, he gets an iPad that comes to him from, 460 Great Circle Road.
Peace of mind. That he's knows where he's going to live and things like that. But there's nothing really tangible.
Right. And those things, where you're going to live and all that could be solved. That's quickly, especially when you have the financial freedom that he
Sure.
has and will continue to have with whatever deal he signs. So that's not a big issue. Him waiting, I think, is a smart thing because another team could crop up. Like, who knows? He could be waiting on the Chiefs. He could be waiting on the Bills. He could be waiting on the Browns. I don't know, whoever, Carolina. He could be waiting on those teams to come in with an offer, And he might have an understanding with the Titans, like, hey, look, this is the offer. What you want to do? You know, and I think that's another way to look at it. But you're right. The variables, as it goes on, the variables definitely could continue to work in.
I think I go back to what you said. I don't even know how long ago it was when you said that the Titans were comfortable, that they thought they were confident in their offer to Hopkins. I think the Titans know Hopkins' value. I think they've offered above the value, and I think they're convinced that no other team in the NFL is going to meet that. And that's why they're confident.
I mean, that's an interesting perspective.
Because Reese just said there that he doesn't see Bill getting into a bidding war over DeAndre.
And you made that point, too. I tell you, I think that was more not as much from the offer, but just as much from we let him know what, you know. You look at he's in the van, got his name up there, had him at the CMAs. What did he say when he left? He didn't say this about New England. What did he say when he left? Oh, Nashville is lit. It was on his social media. So I would imagine they did a really good job of making him understand what he would be walking away from beyond just football. So that's more or less where I think that confidence comes from.
Do you think it's a good thing that they're not willing to be desperate on this? Because I believe that beggars can't be choosers. And by drafting Will Levis, they put themselves in a position where they could end up being beggars at the receiver position, and I think they kind of are.
I don't think that they're beggars right now. I think that they're willing to move forward with what they have.
Oh, no.
But if they can enhance it, like what does Vrabel always say? Mike Vrabel always says, you know, we want to improve the football team at all positions. So I think if you look at it, obviously Hopkins would improve the football team, but I don't think that they would cancel the season if they don't sign him.
Oh, no. I say cancel the season if they do not sign DeAndre.
And you know how Tim Kelly feels about the receivers in store right now.
I mean, Racey McMath did have that one catch against the Cowboys.
I will say this: Kyle Phillips is going to have a good year.
If they sign DeAndre, are you going to change your prediction that he's going to lead the team in catches?
Yes.
Because I was actually thinking about this yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, Phillips may have a great season, but there's no way he's going to lead the team in catches if they end up signing DeAndre Hopkins.
See, here's the thing. Right now, if it's, 3rd and 7 or whatnot, and I'm Ryan Tannehill, I'm going to throw it to the open man, but I think Kyle Phillips is the best at creating separation, right? And where he is in the slot, there's so much space, et cetera, et cetera. So if you put Hopkins in the mix, then it's like, okay, yeah, you're looking for the open guy, but you
3rd and 7 with my offensive line, I'm just going to put it in the direction of DeAndre.
Exactly. You live the YOLO life. You only live once. DeAndre's out there somewhere, and you just throw it up there, and he's going to go get it. And I think that's the key part when you have a guy like that, and that will keep those targets and receptions that Phillips would really rack up in those type of situations from getting outrageous.
We'll keep it on the DeAndre front with TD. 615-737-1025. Get your questions in for TD as we always do. But Adam Schefter said something last week. I want TD's reaction to that. Plus, I also the game that I think the Titans are in right now with DeAndre. And what do we think they should do? We'll get into that as well. Stillman & Company, 615-737-1025 here on the program. Stillman & Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
D-Hop Watch continues.
Titans and Patriots have made offers. He's kind of holding out, looking around.
Could the Titans add the talented wide receiver?
They need help at the receiver position.
With speed that can catch the football. How much better can he make the two-tone blue?
Titans have a better chance of being in the postseason.
D-Hop.
D-Hop.
D-Hop. D-Hop. D-Hop. D-Hop. D-Hop. D-Hop Watch continues.
Titans on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The FedEx Cup playoffs start in Memphis at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Come out to TPC Southwind August 9th through the 13th and watch the PGA Tour's top players battle to make it through Memphis. Enjoy Memphis at its finest with specialty cocktails, local eats, a vibrant atmosphere, and much more. 2 kids 15 and under admitted free with a ticketed adult. Daily grounds and upgraded tickets are available now at FedExChampionship.com.
We pride ourselves on being transparent, opening up the books, and sharing all the secrets of the diamond industry. We have a passion for this, and part of having a passion is sharing that passion.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper says, at Genesis, you don't just get an entry-level course in diamonds, you get a PhD.
We love educating our customers, even over-educating our customers about diamonds and gemstones, so they can truly see the difference in what we offer.
At Genesis, diamonds are not a side business. It's their only business.
We eat, breathe, and sleep diamonds.
So whether you end up buying at Genesis or not, come for the education.
The better educated we can make you at Genesis Diamonds, the better a shopper you're going to be, whether you shop with us or anyone else. You will be able to tell the difference and know what you are buying, so you make the best decision for you.
Genesis Diamonds, proud to offer one of the largest selections of GIA certified diamonds in the nation, with no middleman markups, no retail pricing games, no commission salespeople, and no nonsense. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board. Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff.
You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. TD is with us for the TD Power Hour. We are keeping our eyes on DeAndre Hopkins. And so Adam Schefter was asked a question last week, TD, and this was on NFL Radio by Mark Dominic asking the question. He was asked a question about, are there any other teams outside the Titans or the Patriots that are kind of circling around for DeAndre Hopkins that he's heard? Here's what Adam Schefter said.
Is there another team that may be in the wings or in the weeds a little bit, waiting to see how this Hopkins thing plays out?
You know, I don't know that, Mark. I think, again, he has been fairly vocal about the fact that, you know, there's certain quarterbacks he has wanted to play with. He is the one that listed, I believe, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and somebody else. Like, there were 5 Justin Herbert, maybe. He rattled off 5 quarterbacks that he wanted to play with. And we also know he visited the 2 places he did. You know, is there another team that is lurking out there? That's always possible. I haven't heard of one. I don't know of any teams lurking that we haven't heard linked to him. I know Cleveland's come up. I don't expect Cleveland to be the landing spot for DeAndre Hopkins ultimately in the end. But, again, it's also July 7th, and there's still situations that will unfold that maybe we can't see right now.
Okay. I think that's Adam's way of saying nobody is lurking around that's not, at least that he knows of, that's not the Titans or the Patriots. Then there's the training camp thing. If he goes into camp, or if he doesn't go into camp, and somebody else gets hurt on another team, then that could be an opening for DeAndre.
Right.
Do you think that that's the right play? And it makes me nervous that could happen, but it also couldn't, and DeAndre could be still sitting out there and waiting. And so I guess I'm asking you, do you think it's the right play for DeAndre to see if somebody gets hurt in training camp? Or given that this is a prove-it year for him, is it just better that take the deal and go to training camp?
Yeah, I think take the deal and go to training camp. You asked if July 25th is a deadline. I don't think it's the deadline, but if I'm him, by the time these two teams start camp, I want to be starting with one of them. I think that's really the best thing. But, there's so many different factors that go into these types of decisions, and that's the thing that we have to remember because, the quarterback situation, that's something that he has said all along. The ability to, have a good shot at winning, that's something that he said all along. So money's great, and it's probably one of the biggest factors, but there's so many others, and that's why when you look at these things, it's all just unless you are sitting there in the room with the decision makers and then are fortunate enough to sit there with the agent and the player themselves, you really don't know. And that's the thing that's so interesting about this. We don't know what's going to happen.
I just don't see any of the contenders. I don't see them offering up the kind of money that I think the Titans have already offered up.
I'm talking about between the Titans and Patriots. I really do think it comes down to those two teams.
So you're like Adam. You don't see like a lurking team that's
I don't. If they were lurking, why wouldn't they have come out by now?
Mm-hmm.
That's really my mindset.
People keep talking about the Chiefs if they sign Chris Jones, but I don't think the Chiefs are interested.
Look,
unless it's at their price.
I firmly believe the Chiefs are interested from this perspective. Hey, DeAndre. Look, man, we got Pat Mahomes. You saw what Juju Smith-Schuster did in this offense last year. And, oh, by the way, we won a Super Bowl. What's important to you? We'll give you some money, but we'll put some incentives in there to where we go to the AFC Championship game, we go to the Super Bowl, we win the Super Bowl, you could get this, this, and this. And, we've been to, 3 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. So I think that's the selling point that the Chiefs would have for him, and I'm sure that if there was a conversation, that's what they offered.
Well, I think that's what they were trying to do, and then the Odell Beckham deal happened, and that blew up the negotiations because the Chiefs were looking to get him for like $4 million.
Yeah.
And it was like, wait a minute. And I understand DeAndre sitting there and thinking, hey, I've had 2 down years for whatever reasons they've been, injury 1 year, suspension another year. I've had 2 down years, so I'm going to have to take a pay cut. Odell Beckham signs for $15 million. No, I'm not. I'll take a pay cut. I'm not taking it to $3 million. And that's where I think it kind of ended between him and the Chiefs. And I think it was Jeff Darlington said this week that the Bills would be interested at their price, but there's no way it's going to get to their price. And so I really do think that it is going to be between the Titans or the Patriots.
Right.
Or if somebody gets hurt in training camp. But even then, I just don't know how many teams – if somebody got hurt in training camp, would say, okay, well, now we're going to go from wanting to pay DeAndre Hopkins $2 million to wanting to pay him $14 million.
Yeah.
Like maybe the Dolphins, that's the one team that I think about because they're kind of built on their wide receivers. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I see teams saying, oh, yeah, it's tough that we lost Chris Godwin to an injury, but we're just going to move on to the next guy.
Yeah, and the Dolphins, they're built to their wide receivers, but wide receivers doing different things. DeAndre is not a catch-and-run player. He is a guy that you go down the field with because he's really good at stacking corners, but he's not someone that you look at from a yak perspective. I personally feel the longer he waits, the worse it is. The longer he waits after training camp, the worse it is because if you're waiting, right, and nothing happens to anyone, which we pray everyone stays healthy, then what do? Tuck your tail between your legs and crawl back to the Titans or crawl back to the Patriots and say, hey, look. And then what happens? Okay, well, look, man.
That $12 million, we've only got $8 million now.
Exactly. So it's a dangerous game that he's playing.
Well, it was like when we were talking to Reese and I asked him the question about Bill and getting into a bidding war or how important is the start of training camp for Bill. And I just remember when the Clowney thing happened and Floyd, I felt like like his takes on the radio were kind of not so much like exactly what he would do, but more so what he would be saying to Clowney's people. And he was like, hey, all that money's gone. This is all I can offer you. Minimum salary is the best. I can give you some incentives, but I gotta, and I do think that if DeAndre's not at training camp, that starts to become an issue on the Titans deal, because I think training camp matters to Vrabel. And even though DeAndre's different than Clowney and DeAndre's different than Julio, and they're all different circumstances and they're all different players, I do think that I feel like Clowney not being at training camp hurt Clowney for that season. And Julio being injured in training camp might have hurt Julio for that season. And I could see Vrabel being like, no, if we're going to do this, he's going to be here for camp.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they would firmly want him there for camp. Again, it goes back to if I were him, I'm making a decision, within the next week and a half.
I cannot see how somebody would pick the Patriots over the Titans. Especially, and I know you've heard it because we've only played it 5,000 times, but that Michael Irvin cut where he said DeAndre told him that Bill O'Brien compared him to Aaron Hernandez and told him not to bring his baby mamas around.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds really personal.
Very.
And so to go to that with Mac Jones at quarterback, though I do think Mac Jones got a raw deal because they put him in that bozo coordinator rotation last year. But with that, in that division, how could you want to play for that team instead of this team where there's a spot waiting for you, a veteran quarterback, a veteran running back? I mean, I've lived in both places, so I can say it. A much better place to live.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that snow, man, and that cold weather.
That drives me crazy when it's like, especially when I hear all these people outside that are like, oh, well, I mean, why would he go to Tennessee? I mean, he should go to New England. It's like, what's so great about New England?
This is a destination.
Especially if the Titans are offering more money, what is the draw with the Patriots?
And you have no state taxes here. Now, of course, when you play in other states, you're paying taxes for that income. But still, it's a good situation.
Not if you get a signing bonus.
And remember, they play in Florida twice this year, Miami and Jacksonville. So those will be tax-free weeks also.
Well, and not only that, I mean, you can give them a $12 million contract with a $8 million signing bonus and throw 3 void years on that, and now all of a sudden the cap hit's like $18 and you're fine.
Yeah, you find ways to work around it.
Do whatever you want with that. But if you get it in the form of a signing bonus, like that's being taxed at the Tennessee rate. That's not being taxed where you play, which is pretty crazy. The little intricacies of that here or there. So you don't see why he would pick the Patriots over the Titans.
I don't see why, but you know what? I don't know what's going on in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And as Mike Reese said, you saw that interaction that he had with, hey, I love you, So
there's some
Bill
guys.
Belichick said that. So, Hopkins seems like someone who is, grounded on interpersonal value. You know what I mean? That type of, he seems like that type of abstract person. So a relationship could definitely go a long way.
I will say this. I have soured on Belichick. Like, I think, with Brady doing what he did and Bill the last 3 years, things that Belichick has done in the past that were, oh, that's a genius move by Bill. It has felt the last couple of years like a what is Bill thinking kind of thing. Like the Matt Patricia, Joe Judge. Like, what's Bill doing there? But so I've kind of soured on Bill over the last couple of years. But there are some people at Sirius, like especially some of these NFL radio guys that I'll talk to, that it's like if you say something like the idea of, hey, Belichick might be kind of stinking it up right now. It's like, how dare?
Yeah.
How dare you think that about Bill Belichick? And I say that because maybe DeAndre is one of those guys that still views Bill as that's the greatest coach and he's the best and nothing that he does is wrong and he's so smart.
I see that could have value to him, So look, money's great. Opportunities are great. If you look at it from that perspective, like I everything on the surface, I definitely couldn't see why you would choose the Patriots over the Titans. But, again, we don't know what value he has in something that has him on the table.
What if ESPN offered you the Patriots beat at a little bit less than what they're paying you for the Titans beat? Because that does sound like DeAndre's getting offered less with the Patriots.
That's tough.
Because the Patriots beat is like a pretty prestigious beat at ESPN.
That's the thing. I would consider. I probably would stay here. There are two places that I would leave.
Philly
and San Francisco.
Why San Francisco?
I love the Bay Area. I do, but that would be a tough sell for myself.
You wouldn't take the Giants?
No.
Cowboys?
No.
You wouldn't take the Cowboy job. Is that the number one job of the NFL Nation reporters?
Probably. That's probably yeah, I mean, it's the Cowboys. So, the Steelers is good. Like, I've seen Brooke Pryor come in and just rock it, and you see her on Get Up and all that. So, yeah, the Steelers is a high one, too.
Let's get to your phones for TD. We'll do that next. We're right to them. 615-737-1025. It's the TD Power Hour. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's Black Friday in July at Electronic Express. Get up to 50% off in every department. Don't miss a TCL 65-inch Roku TV for only $349 or an LG laundry pair for just $499 each. Save on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, and more. Get an Acer Aspire laptop for just $199 or a Ring Video doorbell for only $149. Get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Teron Davenport, and we're changing the game. Help your bets stay hot this summer at Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports gambling with a direct line to Las Vegas. And now, when you use the promo code THEGAME, you score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 with promo code THEGAME. Download the Superbook Sports app, enter the promo code THEGAME, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Beach Bend Park. That's where my summer happens.
It's where my family's come for generations for great times.
It's where amusement rides and water park slides are just my size.
It's where my friends and I have a blast on the big thrill rides.
It's where we can do all the attractions and not spend time in long lines.
Enjoy classic amusement rides for the whole family. Plus Splash Lagoon Water Park with slides from mild to wild. Right now, save $10 off general admission with Wendy's coupon or online promo code. Visit beachbend.com.
Yeehaw, folks! Cowboy Clyde back, and I'm teaming up with Harness LLC to tell you about the Murray County Sheriff's Rodeo happening Friday and Saturday night. Kids under 11 are getting in free, with the first 100 of them getting a free cowboy hat. All proceeds go to help reserve deputy programs like Shop with a Cop and School Resource Officer programs to teach our youngins about the dangers of drugs, tobacco, and alcohol. Pony rides, a petting zoo, bareback bronc riding, steer wrestling, bull riding, and woo doggy, you'll have a great time with the family. So get your cowboy boots on and get ready for a good time that won't cost you a fortune. The Murray County Sheriff's Rodeo just over yonder at the Murray County Park in Columbia. Friday and Saturday, gates open at 5:30, show starts at 8. If you need more info, go to MurrayCountySheriffsRodeo.com. That's MurraySheriffsRodeo.com. It's all brought to you by
Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I said, tell me what happened in Houston. And he went into it. He told me, he said, Michael, it was a bit of a power struggle there because Coach O'Brien thought he had too much influence over the locker room. He called DeAndre Hopkins in a meeting to talk about this and to kind of, I guess, hash it out. In that meeting, he started the meeting with telling DeAndre Hopkins this that blew my mind when DeAndre told me this. He told DeAndre Hopkins, he said, hey, the last time I had to have a meeting like this, it was with Aaron Hernandez. I was like, what? He put in Aaron Hernandez in this meeting? He said, yes, he did. He said, Michael, that blew my mind that he would even bring that up. I've never been in any trouble. I don't know why would he equate me with Aaron Hernandez. And from there, the meeting just deteriorated. You know, he got into talking about DeAndre Hopkins because DeAndre Hopkins has a few kids and from different women. And he said, you know, he told DeAndre he doesn't like that he has his baby mamas around sometimes. And from that, I think the relationship just went bad. And thus, we got a trade of DeAndre Hopkins from Houston for basically, like I said earlier, a ham sandwich, all because of that relationship.
I love that cut. TD's with us for the TD Power Hour. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Do you have a thought or you want to go to the phones?
My thought is I love the Wu-Tang Triumph lead-in.
There you go.
There it is.
Gustavo from Panama is up next. Gustavo, you're on with TD. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Listen, I had a couple of things that kind of make they're put together as like Fowler, Maddox, everybody on this radio, including myself, really care for Tannehill more than the rest of the Get Up and First Take and all those people. They're falling asleep on Tannehill, and I believe it. And I think, sir, that you're falling asleep on Kyle Phillips. Not your guess. He knows. And I saw when he was playing, he kept finding spots. Now, he got injured, but he found spots all the time, and that game was terrific. Mm-hmm. And I watched him. I'm a Pac-12 guy. I watched him UCLA. He did it all day long.
Unguardable.
This is the guy. Some of you guys are following this.
Well, I think Gustavo's phone that may have gotten cut off in Panama. I'm fine with Phillips, but I have to see it to believe it. Got to stay healthy.
Look, you go back. Was it Stingley? He put in work on Stingley. Used to Derek Stingley, the corner at Houston.
Oh yeah, the one that was taken like third overall.
Kyle Phillips is the truth, man. I like Kyle Phillips, but I mean we'll see what happens there as far as what he's able to do in the league. It's obviously a different situation than college, but I was impressed with the Giants game. And there were a few other games where he didn't have high production, but he's so reliable on that third down, and that's where his value is going to be.
I just can't, like with DeAndre, I've got a little proof of concept.
Yeah, no, look, if you're saying, hey, Kyle Phillips or DeAndre Hopkins, Kyle Phillips, I like you a lot, but hey,
Texter says that's like when Scotty Miller was the third receiver, the slot guy for the Buccaneers. They signed Antonio Brown. It's like, hey, Scotty, we're going to throw the ball to Antonio.
Yeah.
Like, you go sit down. Texter says, shot in the dark here, but is it possible that Hopkins was told by the Titans to go out there into the market and see what the best offer he could get is and that they would be willing to beat it?
I doubt that would be the case. I wouldn't – I couldn't see the front office. I couldn't see them saying, hey, go see if you can get more money and come back to us. I could see them saying, look, this is the offer. You saw what we present. If you want to test the market, that's cool, but this is our offer.
Especially when you said that they are not going to be desperate, that is kind of a desperate move. It's either a desperate or a respectful move, but it's only really a respectful move when it's somebody that's already on your team, which is like, hey, go see what you can get, come back to us, and then we'll talk about it. I think Vrabel said that that's what happened with him and the Patriots, was that Bill Cowher said, hey, go see what's out there, and that Vrabel went back to Bill Cowher with what the Patriots had offered, and that Bill Cowher said, like, I can meet this money-wise, but you're not going to have the same opportunity here you're going to have there.
Yeah.
You should take it. You think Bill Cowher regretted that in the AFC Championship game with his 15-1 team when Mike Vrabel basically jumped on Ben Roethlisberger's chest and Rodney Harrison took a pick six back to the house?
It probably did.
Maybe a little bit. A texter says, TD, we are all delusional fans, especially this time of the year, and we are prone to talking ourselves into thinking our team is a contender, even with Jared constantly keeping us grounded. But how do you think the guys in the Titans locker room believe that they can contend for a championship this year or in the near future? That comes from Liam.
I think they all believe. I mean, look, last year the Jacksonville Jaguars believed. Of all teams, the Jaguars did. You saw what happened. I think every single player going into training camp, they feel they have a chance. Because it's just how you're wired. Like, you're wired to feel like you have it. I mean, you're not going to go out thinking you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the players in that locker room, regardless. Now, if Hopkins comes, will that make that idea a little more realistic to them? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I do wonder what the sugar high would be like of excitement if they added DeAndre Hopkins, of the guys in the locker room kind of thinking, hey, everybody's sleeping on us, but, we believe in ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then they add DeAndre Hopkins, and it's like, oh, okay, now we really believe in ourselves kind of thing.
And we've seen that twice before, right? When Julio Jones came, and then you saw it when Clowney came, there was excitement.
And that didn't really translate, into a tangible element on the field.
Right.
So I was kind of hoping that, we're probably right that probably doesn't shift it much, the excitement. But it would be exciting.
It's good for business.
Oh, it's great for business. Texter says, TD, they play in Florida 3 times, not twice. They play in Tampa 2.
Okay.
And says, TD, what is your prediction on the Titans' record if they don't sign Hopkins? And what is your prediction if they do sign Hopkins?
The texter's splitting hairs here. But so prediction, so if I say they go 10-7, and they go 10-6-1, that texter's going to say, hey, you said 10-7, they went 10-6-1.
So I will just say this. In 2019, so like the 2018-19 offseason, I said, look, I'm tired of the Titans in the middle of the pack, and I think they've been 9-7 3 years in a row. And I was like, it's time to be 12-4. Like, it's time to be – and everybody took that to me saying that they were going to be 12-4. And all I was saying was it's time to be 12-4. Well, they weren't 12-4, but they did get to the AFC Championship game. So I felt like I was kind of justified there because it's like, it's time to be good now. With this Titans team,
look, I say
I could see, honestly, TD, before I'm sorry I kind of cut you off there, but I could see it going either way with this team.
Yeah, I mean, I would say 9-7, 10-6, or excuse me, 9-7. Yeah, however, the 9-8, 10-7. I could see it that way without Hopkins, but with him, I think an 11-win season is definitely something that they could do. So 11-6.
Do you think that, again, putting you on the spot here, AFC South right now, no DeAndre Hopkins. Do you think that Jacksonville is ahead of the Titans, or do you think they're even, or where do you think they are? And then where do you think Hopkins would put kind of that battle?
Well, the thing that's interesting to me is no one is talking about the fact that Jacksonville will be without both of their tackles.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about Dennis Daly like for the Titans. We're talking about pretty solid
starting tackles.
Starting tackles,
yeah.
Right. So they're going to be without both of them for at least, one signed with the Chiefs, the other one, or was it the Chiefs he signed with?
Yes, Jawan Taylor's playing right tackle for the Chiefs.
Yeah, and then the other had the suspension.
Right, Cam Robinson's out for the first 4 games.
Right, so, that factors into it. So they haven't just morphed into the Bengals.
Well, I heard somebody say that Anton Harris they may end up morphing into the Bengals where they don't have an offensive line to protect their quarterback.
Yeah, but even though who was it earlier said that he's in the neighborhood, Rick Spielman, no. Trevor Lawrence is not going to morph into Joe Burrow.
Upset was disappointed in Spielman's take on the AFC South.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's my team. It's because I just think it's wrong. And I think Spielman's a good GM, and I think he's smart. Mm-hmm. And I hear that take, and I'm like, he's not in Joe Burrow's class. And, Lawrence could get better this year.
I don't put him in Joe Burrow.
But he's got to get a lot better to be in Joe Burrow's class.
You're talking about Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's what you're talking about I don't put him in that group. Pat Mahomes, honestly, is head and shoulders. But regardless, when you look at the Titans and the Jaguars, I don't think the Jaguars are a huge amount of space above the Titans. I think they're it's a toss-up. Either team could win the division, in my opinion. But I think you definitely have to look at that factor, just like you have to look at Petit Frere being gone, right? And, for the first 6 games, that's going to be an issue that they're going to have to adjust. But Jacksonville's dealing with the same thing. And Calvin Ridley, look, he was really good in Atlanta, but he hasn't played in quite some time. So we got to give that an opportunity to work out also. Is it a good addition? Yeah, for sure. But, that's not act like they got Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's a good addition, and it has to play out. But in essence, he replaced Marvin Jones. So I think these teams are even. Obviously, we know what happened in the season finale. I think they're even.
Do you think it's crazy that I think that Joe Burrow's better than Mahomes? Like, if I had to pick, I would pick Burrow.
I'm speechless.
Really? I mean, I think that I think that Burrow and Mahomes is about to be the new Manning Brady.
I could say that.
And I think that because the way I look at it is they played each other twice in the AFC Championship game. And each game was decided by basically a whisker. That's how close those two are.
Mahomes is better than Joe Burrow. Just stop.
Dude, Joe Burrow is that dude. I actually think the best description of Joe Burrow was when you were like, I could take Joe Burrow to the hood. And I was like, that's the perfect.
But you could take Mahomes there, too.
Oh, Mahomes, he's – I mean, I would take Burrow over Mahomes, and I know. Randy says, TD, have you done any asking or investigating with the Titans or Northwestern regarding Peter Skoronski and any involvement in any knowledge of the hazing situation at Northwestern?
I have not. I mean, I don't really know what there is to ask the Titans, but, I mean, Skoronski, there's probably a conversation to be had and will be had, but no. Man, Joe Burrow over Mahomes. Wow.
How is that crazy?
I think it's insane.
How is it insane? I think they're right
crazy.
there. I think that they're I think it's one of those things where it's like, all right, if you think right now, you think Mahomes is better than Burrow, I understand why you think that. I think that's a very valid way to feel. I don't feel that way.
Burrow could do that Mahomes can't.
Oh my God, Burrow just the way and I don't know this. I don't know this for a fact. But Burrow literally has carried an entire organization from the crap hole to the top by himself.
Oh, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they have nothing to do with that.
Look, I know that when he came here, he threw to that white guy that was in the spot of Jamar Chase, and he threw to him like he was Jamar Chase. You know who I'm talking about, too.
Yeah, that's one game. But,
what was his name, Irwin or something?
Yeah. That's one game. I mean, look, Tyreek Hill left.
I know.
They won a Super Bowl.
I know. But he's got the coach. He's got the tight end. He's got the –
come on.
Joe – it's like that coach was on the hot seat, and Joe is.
Andy Reid isn't out there spinning off a tackle and throwing it over the defender.
Andy Reid was losing to Mariota at home in the playoffs before he got Patrick Mahomes in there. Andy Reid was the coach who, he wins all these games, but he can never win the big games. And then he gets Mahomes,
with
and now he's. I know. Mahomes.
Have you watched
awesome.
the quarterback?
I haven't watched that. I do want to see.
Just watch it. Just watch it.
Do they go over Marcus quitting in the middle of the Falcon season on that?
I haven't gotten that far. I'm in the 4th edition. But
how many episodes are there?
I think there's 8. But watch it, and you will get a newfound respect for Patrick Mahomes. I never realized he was the dog that he is. I'm talking about taking on Max Crosby. I'm talking about he's that dude, man. Just
I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying
Burrow is no.
I feel like this is I don't think this is Republican or Democrat where they're so different. I think it is like a preferential choice between Burrow or Mahomes.
It's not Aston Martin or Maserati. It is not.
Oh my God! How am I the only person that thinks? I feel. Oh my goodness
There's a reason
gracious.
Why. But you know what? One of the hosts on ESPN Radio, I forget his name, but we tore him up. He said Josh Allen over
Oh,
no.
No. You cannot say Josh Allen. When I think of the hierarchy of the quarterbacks in the NFL, I feel like Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, and Rodgers are kind of in that top whatever. And with Rodgers, he's kind of slipping a little bit because he's older. With Allen, I think he's kind of slipping a little bit because now I feel like the rubber's starting to meet the road. And he hasn't gotten them any further than Derrick Henry's gotten the Titans. And, I know everyone wants to put Allen in the same category with Mahomes and Burrow, but those two guys have ended up in the Super Bowl.
He's number 3 for me.
You put him ahead of Rodgers?
Yeah, I honestly didn't have Rodgers in my top 5.
Not in the top 5?
No.
You put Trevor Lawrence up in there like everybody else?
No. I went 5 Lamar Jackson, 4 Hurts, 3 Josh Allen, 2 Burrow, 1 Mahomes. And the reason why what really tilted me in favor of Jackson and Hurts is in talking to Shane Bowen and the defensive coordinators, the defensive players, when they played the Ravens, when they played the Eagles, I never saw as much extra preparation for a quarterback ever. And that's what made me say, you know what? I got to put down 5, 4, and then you got your 3.
We'll see with Rodgers. I do wonder, is this going to, Aaron plays better when he's mad at somebody. Is he going to go out there to shove it to the Packers and never miss a throw this year and look like Aaron? And TD, good to see you as always. Great stuff from Mike Reese and great stuff on the DeAndre front.
Yeah.
And I think the text line's calling me crazy on this Burrow over Mahomes take. I do not feel bad about that. Joe Burrow
shouldn't be able to sleep
is the freaking truth. And Mahomes is awesome. I am not – me saying I like Joe Burrow is not me saying that I don't like Patrick Mahomes. And, yes, I would give up anything in the world in order to get one of them on the Titans.
One of them won 2 Super Bowls, I'm just saying. And MVPs, but,
I know.
And threw for 5,000 yards. But,
Joe is not done yet. For Joe,
neither is Mahomes. He's only
he's
27.
Not, but Joe, I'll tell you, Burrow – if you told me that Burrow ends up winning, I think Burrow is John Elway with Joe Montana's cool. And I think Mahomes is just, there is no other person out there. He's just a freak.
And that's why he's better.
I know, but still, we'll see. We'll see. This will be something apparently that will follow us for forever. TD, good to see you.
Yep, good to see you too.
Stillman & Company, 615-737-1025, 1025, 1063 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports. I don't mind going to another team.
You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Genesis is actually a new beginning.
Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon talking about why it's called Genesis.
I love the symbolism of the name. It's a new beginning.
Boaz wanted the name of his company to mean something, to reflect his core values and the importance of starting relationships for people in love, as well as the relationship he wants with each and every customer.
It's a new beginning in their life for the relationship between us, the jeweler, the Genesis Diamond, and the customer, and it should last forever. Everything we do is for the customer.
Walk into Genesis and you can feel it. Genuine people who are solely focused on celebrating the best moments of your life.
It's not only my passion, it's my culture. Genesis is the book where God created the world, the day and night, the man and the woman. Every diamond engagement ring that we specially created for the customer is a new beginning for amazing, lasting relationship.
Come start your amazing, lasting relationship today at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hey y'all, it's Courtney with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by our store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give our sales team a call. We're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland tractor, bush hog, and more.
Does this sound familiar? Did your agent provide excellent entertainment with their TikTok videos and constant social media posts about themselves while completely ignoring that you hired them to sell your home? Did they tell you how wonderful they were? How many followers they had? They probably never sold your home, but hey, they did get 15 likes on their selfies. Hashtag my clients love me. Don't let that happen to you. Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why the only likes we care about are our clients loving our service. Ask us about our prepay with TJ option and how it can save you thousands. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win.
Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is David Poyle. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
There's some people that actually think Tennessee could surpass Jacksonville that aren't totally sold on the Jaguars coming into the season and said, they turned it on late last year. Let's see them repeat that and do it again. I'm not one of them, but I don't see the ceiling for them any higher than second.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Jacksonville is clear and far above any of those other teams in the AFC South. And the way Trevor Lawrence finished last year, showing that he's probably going to be a franchise quarterback that they drafted. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about him the same way we talk about Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and Patrick. I think Justin Herbert. Sure. I think he's going to be right up there with all those guys. And they have a very good football team. Doug Peterson, they have an excellent coaching staff down there. So I think by far Jacksonville is the one that's going to be that you have to beat in the AFC South. And I think they're definitely going to improve from even what they did last year.
Rick Spielman. Rick. Jacksonville going to be better. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence going to be in the Joe Burrow category, which, for me, Joe Burrow is the top, even though everybody thinks that that's crazy. Joe will show you all. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about Anthony Richardson, too, by the way. The Colts, boy, they pump all that sunshine with Anthony Richardson. So I was reading The Athletic. Randy Mueller's another former general manager. I don't listen to Randy that much. I don't know Randy that well. I've had him on a couple of times on XM. Seems like a great guy, football guy. And you know how I love my former general managers. So he did a kind of analyzing every team in the AFC South on The Athletic. And he wrote this. And it's just a small line at the very end, the conclusion part. And it just... part of me thinks that the more I read and hear these things, the more that they might be true. Randy Mueller writes, quote, I think everything has to line up just right for the Titans to contend for a playoff spot this season. Everything has to line up just right? They were right there last year. In fact, they've been right there every year for the last 7 years. They were right there in 2016 at the end. Mariota breaks his leg in the game against Jacksonville. They were right there in 17 when they made the playoffs and they got to the divisional round. They were right there in 18 where they played that Sunday night football game the last week of the year. Winner goes to the playoffs, loser goes home. And they lost to Indianapolis. They were right there in 2019 when they went to the AFC title game. They won the division in 20. They won it in 21. And they were right there last year competing for a playoff spot the last week of the season after everything went wrong. So now I have to believe that everything has to go right for them to be in the exact same spot that they were last year, which was competing for a playoff spot? Was it really that bad of an offseason? Did the team really suck that bad? I mean, they were 7-3 last year. Was that a fluke? There's no way they're that bad. If you were to say, hey, I don't think the Titans are going to make the playoffs, fine. The Athletic, all the NHL writers from The Athletic, did a poll after free agency and the draft about, okay, what are our predictions at this point? And I think that like the 7 spots in the Western Conference, the first 7, everybody had more than an 85% vote to make the playoffs from the athletic writers. And then there was Calgary and the Predators, and they were each kind of right there fighting for that last playoff spot. So Calgary technically, I think, was on like 60%, and the Predators were on like 50% or something like that. That I get. Like, I'm right there contending for a playoff spot, might be the last team in, might be the first team out, fine. I think that's where they belong. But to say that the Titans need everything to go right to contend for a playoff spot when they play in a terrible division, they play the NFC South, which is also a terrible division, like, am I on drugs? That I think the Titans are going to make the playoffs? The Titans should make the playoffs. The Titans, they're not that bad. And yet, my former GMs, except for Mark Dominic, my former GMs are just like, oh, yeah, they suck. Oh, it's driving me crazy. By the way, the text line is blown up with people that are mad about the Mahomes Burrow takes and people that are mad about my Nashville SC takes. Wild. 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in. Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, talks expansion. What he said, what he didn't say, what he said in the past that we need to keep in mind here, and the reality. We'll get to that next. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love my guys at Hiller. They do a fantastic job. They've been taking care of my home for years. They can do the exact same for you. Hiller is keeping you chilling all summer with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month and take advantage of these special deals. Like when you purchase a new select new HVAC systems, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Panga 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. And get special freebies on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater purchase. Stay chillin' all summer long. Call Hiller today. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Service is Free guarantee, and I know this because I use Hiller at my home. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL,
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hang on. It's going to be a wild ride. The PBR team's champions, the Nashville Stampede, are coming home in a run to defend their title. Stampede Days, August 18th through 20th at Bridgestone Arena. Heart-pounding action you don't want to miss. Tickets start at $20. Get yours today at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com.
Yeah, we coming.
Join us for the ride.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader, supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, tubing, fire protection, and more. All at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Insightful discussion.
When we talk about the person that these players are.
3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes.
He wants to be the starter, day one. Mixed with spirited debate.
Okay, but
Derek,
let's
Professor Derek. They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
We got the whole thing covered. We got it all covered.
Here.
Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We talked about expansions. I think that one thing that's really interesting is thinking about cities that possibly they could go to. We've heard things about, Nashville, about Portland, about Montreal again. I know that we're not quite there to figuring those things out, but are there additional cities in that short list that you can share with us or not?
There are additional cities. I mean, we're lucky, okay? There are more than a handful of cities that are interested in having Major League Baseball, and that's great for the sport. When you have this job a little while, you learn something. If you talk about one city and don't talk about another, you make a problem. So I'm going to try to get through today without making a problem.
We love all of you guys.
Here you go, Rob Manfred, who on multiple occasions has brought up Nashville as an expansion city. Rob Manfred asked about expansion and the cities on SiriusXM at the All-Star break. And you heard Rob Manfred right there say, the first one, and Trevor May asked the question. Trevor May is a current pitcher in Major League Baseball who did some work for SiriusXM over the weekend at the All-Star game. But the first thing he said was, we've heard about Nashville, obviously Nashville and these other places, Portland and Charlotte and Montreal. And so here's the deal. The way things are operating in baseball, the A's stadium right now is at the forefront. And let me set this up. Anytime somebody asks you about what's the state of us getting a team, this is the right answer. So I want you to hear all this. It's very important right here. Right now, Major League Baseball has said they need to figure out what's going to happen in Oakland and Tampa Bay with their stadium situations, and then they will move on to expansion. Now, with Oakland, they've purchased some land out in out in Las Vegas, and they got some bill passed through the Nevada Assembly or something, but it's not a done deal. They're starting their relocation process, and the mayor of Oakland went to the All-Star game to sit down with Rob Manfred and to give all of the owners the new pitch for a ballpark in Oakland to keep the A's in Oakland. So that's the immediate thing that baseball's worried about. Second is the ballpark in Tampa. Now, I was in Tampa this past weekend, and I think that ballpark is plenty good, but I know why the Rays don't like it. They don't like it because it's in St. Petersburg, which is a haul from Tampa, and they don't like it because they don't own anything around the ballpark. So what they want is a stadium that seats less people than the Tropicana Field seats and has bars, restaurants, hotels, and all the things that they can make money off of, like the Braves do in Cobb County, Georgia. And so that's going to have to get done. There's some progress they're working on there. That's not as far along as the Oakland situation is, but they've got to get that figured out. And from everybody I talked to in Tampa, it sounds like they will. So once those two things get done, and as you all know, just following the A's and the Vegas thing, that is on its way. Then baseball will expand, and they will expand to 32 teams. Why do I know they're going to expand? Because last year, ESPN wrote a puff piece on Rob Manfred, and in it they talked about expansion being on the horizon, and they think that they can get $2 billion for a franchise fee. So if you want to get a franchise in baseball, it'll cost you $2 billion to pay the league straight up. So every owner, think about that, $4 billion split 30 ways. And those owners, they like that money now. So it's going to happen. Expansion in baseball is going to happen. And it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Once these 2 stadium deals get figured out, then expansion will happen. My guess is Vegas is getting a team one way or another. So if the A's stay in Oakland, then Vegas is getting an expansion team. Because they've already got the money. They've already got the funding through the government, through that, whatever it may be. They've already got a site for a ballpark. It's almost turnkey at this point. I believe we're second. But the reason why I say this is because we in Nashville, and I'm not talking about that Nashville Stars group that sends out emails all the time. I'm talking about a real group of people and people with real money and things like that. If we want to get a team, we need to start talking now how we're going to do this. And when it comes to how we're going to do this, there are 3 things. 1, who's going to own the team? 2, where's it going to be? Is it going to be downtown? Is the guy who owns the team, is he going to pay to buy land downtown and build a stadium? Is the Metro government going to be willing to give him land the way that we gave Nashville SC land? We're probably not going to be willing to do that if I had to take a guess, but I don't want to speak for everybody else. Are we going to buy them a stadium? I don't see that happening, but we need to figure that out. If we're not going to do that in Davidson County, what around Davidson County, who would be interested? Murray County, Wilson County, Cheatham County. I mean, I think those places might be too far, but Rutherford County, can you build them what the Atlanta Braves have at the Battery in Cobb County, Georgia? And we need to start figuring those things out now because expansion is on the horizon. And I think we need a Major League Baseball team, and I think we should have a Major League Baseball team. And not only that, I think Major League Baseball wants to put a team here. So when everybody asks, are we getting a team? That's where we are right now. Baseball in the immediate is getting the deal done with the A's. Are they moving to Vegas? Probably. Is Oakland at the 11th hour going to be able to save them? We'll see. They're trying. Tampa, they're working out a deal with St. Pete. They'll probably get a deal done. Their lease expires in 2027 at the Trop, and they say they're not playing there any longer. Then is expansion, and it's 2 cities. It's Charlotte, it's it's Montreal, it's Vegas, it's Portland. That's it. Anywhere else could come out of the woodwork, but I'm telling you, as far as where baseball is really considering and where they kind of truly want to be, that's what they're looking at. Portland, Vegas, Charlotte, Montreal. And why they would ever give Montreal a team again, I have no idea. I mean, we talk about nobody went to that game. I mean, back in the day when Montreal had a team, nobody went to those games. So I don't know why they would put another team in Montreal. But Major League Baseball wants more of these cities because, in their opinion, it gives them more leverage. If Rob Manfred were to just come out and say, and he's talked about Nashville several times, he wants to be here. But if Manfred were to come out and say, we want to put a team in Nashville, then that lowers their leverage. The NFL had no leverage with Los Angeles because they just weren't going to buy them a stadium. So finally, they had to build their own stadium there if they wanted to be in Los Angeles. That's not going to happen here. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, he joins us next. The latest on the DeAndre Hopkins front. What does he make of the movement of the numbers and the lines and the money on DeAndre? We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
It's been an offseason of change for the Nashville Predators.
Still going to be a relatively young roster. Johansson's gone, Duchesne's gone.
The Nashville Predators are interested, potentially, in a Brett Pesce.
They did trade Ekholm, Granlund, Tanner Jeannot. What's next for Smashville's team?
They want to get younger. They're going to have to move a piece.
We have you covered with every move on your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hear that? That's Jeff Anderson.
He's that guy in your neighborhood that's always making improvements to his house, his car, his yard. On your street, it's about keeping up with the Andersons. One thing you don't know is Jeff's tools are from Harbor Freight. Tools at great prices. That circular saw right there, you wouldn't believe the deal he got. Just think, when you're keeping up with the Andersons, you're saving money. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
The spring menu is here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, featuring their signature cast iron pie with herb roasted chicken, English peas, carrots, potato, simple greens, and a toasted biscuit crumble topping. Or garden succotash with snap peas, black-eyed peas, roasted peppers, sweet corn, tomato, and caramelized onion. Or try the steak fritas with pan-seared ribeye. Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, open daily till 2 with brunch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 7 till 2.
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, comfort in cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
Back in 1949, Dr. Houston began the tradition of treating athletes for common sports injuries. Today, the sports medicine physicians at Houston Clinic Orthopedics continue his legacy. Whether you play at school, in a league, on a professional team, or just enjoy being active, Houston Clinic Orthopedics physicians are there to help you stay in the game. Common sports injuries include tears, strains, sprains, and instabilities of the knee, shoulder, and ankle. Houston Clinic Orthopedics is located where you work and live. Visit tn.houston.com to book your appointment online. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
Yeehaw, folks! Cowboy Clyde back, and I'm teaming up with Harness LLC to tell you about the Murray County Sheriff's Rodeo happening Friday and Saturday night. Kids under 11 are getting in free, with the first 100 of them getting a free cowboy hat. All proceeds go to help reserve deputy programs like Shop with a Cop and School Resource Officer programs to teach our youngins about the dangers of drugs, tobacco, and alcohol. Pony rides, a petting zoo, bareback bronc riding, steer wrestling, bull riding, and woo doggy, you'll have a great time with the family. So get your cowboy boots on and get ready for a good time that won't cost you a fortune. The Murray County Sheriff's Rodeo just over yonder at the Murray County Park in Columbia. Friday and Saturday, gates open at 5:30, show starts at 8. If you need more info, go to MurrayCountySheriffsRodeo.com. That's MurraySheriffsRodeo.com. It's all brought to you by
Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
And I think he's got a coach
shot by Sherrill.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff.
You just play terrible and you keep playing. And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. We are keeping our eyes on DeAndre Hopkins, and the odds yesterday skyrocketed. As far as the Titans were concerned, from plus 500 on DraftKings to minus 300. Now, by the end of the day, it cooled a little bit, where DeAndre was minus 125 for the Titans. The Patriots went from plus 425 to plus 150, and the Chiefs plus 800 to plus 300. What does that mean? What does Vegas know? What do we make of it? Chad Withrow joins us, Outkick, on the program. Chad, what do you make of the swing of the odds on the DeAndre Hopkins front?
I think that someone knows something. You know, if it's not Vegas knowing something or getting some sort of tip, it's some astronomical bet or maybe a multitude of bets being placed for DeAndre Hopkins, the Titans, that changed it. I mean, look, Vegas isn't always right. You know, there's been plenty of times. Go look back at the odds for where Tom Brady was going to land. And I think the favorite by a mile was the Las Vegas Raiders before he went to Tampa. So they don't know everything. But you can't just chalk it up as coincidence that it goes from a big underdog to happen to a big favorite to happen. So I don't know what they know, Jared, and I don't know if it's just them collecting data on bets being placed and it's shifting that way, but something definitely happened.
So I think the Titans are going to end up with DeAndre Hopkins, and I now kind of feel bad for Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel, Chad, because if they do not sign DeAndre Hopkins, I think there's going to be a lot of fans that are really, really mad at them and really upset, especially given what they have at wide receiver, if the Titans don't get this deal done, where it's not like they had anything to do with the odds in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they care at all about that. You know, fans can get mad all they want. Coaches and GMs don't tend to care about that part of it.
Oh, they care about that.
Well, I mean, what are they going to say, though? I mean, we tried. He didn't want to come here.
Sure,
you know, like,
right.
I mean, it would be one thing if they're mad that they didn't make an effort, but by all reports, they've given the most aggressive offer, and it's still not something DeAndre Hopkins wants to sign. You know, we had Armando Salguero of Outkick on the show today, and I asked him, what's the best football decision for Hopkins between the two, Titans, Patriots, the two offers that we know that he has? And he said neither. He said the best football decision is for him to sit out, to wait for someone to get injured mid-season, and to sign with a Super Bowl hopeful, because neither one of those teams have any chance of winning a Super Bowl. And that way he can just step right in and win a Super Bowl ring for someone that needs him badly, because he's not going to get the money he wants regardless. So he said that would be the best solution for him. I found that interesting. I don't know that he wants to go that route, but I think if it comes down to Titans-Patriots and the Titans are offering more money, I think it's pretty easy to say the Titans are the more desirable of the two, given the quarterback, given the chance to win the division, especially with him on the roster, and the fact they're offering more money. I think would give a big favorite to the Titans in that one.
Chad Withrow's with us from Outkick. Do you think that the Titans will sign DeAndre Hopkins?
No.
Really?
I think DeAndre Hopkins will end up with some. I think we're going to get. You like talking about those, magic tricks that teams can do to make it work within the cap, and they can, front load this and back load this, and then do all these things and manipulate the years of the contract and all that. I think he's going to end up with a Super Bowl contender, whether that be the Chiefs or someone else. I think it's going to go right up to the start of the season, but I think he ends up elsewhere. That's gun to my head right now, Jared. I'm not going to be shocked if he ends up with the Titans, but gun to my head right now, I think that happens. And if that happens, think about that receiver room for the Titans without DeAndre Hopkins and what it looks like.
Oh, I think about that every day. Awful. And so I think that if they end up not getting DeAndre Hopkins, it'll be a massive letdown. I'm not sure that letdown will affect the team or will affect the actual winning or the losing. But
it will. I mean, I'm not talking about emotional letdown or anything with that. I mean, it's absolutely going to affect the team. They don't have viable receiving options outside of Treylon Burks, who came along at points in his rookie year, but hasn't shown anything to make you think that he's going to be some great pro. So, look, I think it definitely affects their bottom line, wins and losses. And Hopkins, it's not early career Hopkins. He's still really good. And you have DeAndre Hopkins, this team, I think that it takes the Titans from pretty clearly the second-place team in the AFC South to a team that's right there with Jacksonville, that you could very easily make the argument that they are the favorite to win the division.
So but to that point, I love my general managers, the former GMs. Rick Spielman, I love Rick Spielman. He preaches, and I'm, one of the patrons in the pews. And today he was talking about Jacksonville, thinks they're head and shoulders above the Titans, even if DeAndre is a Titan, and thinks that Trevor Lawrence is going to ascend into the Joe Burrow category this upcoming season. I think that that's crazy talk, but he's not the only one that says that. When it comes to Trevor Lawrence, I hear these people talk about him like, oh no, he is just destined to end up as a Burrow, Mahomes, Josh Allen type player. And I'm sorry, I'm not sure I see it. Do you see it?
I don't. And I think that if you're saying that, you're really relying on the initial thought of Trevor Lawrence coming into the draft and while he was at Clemson. So we're really showing a lot of bias to our opinion of Trevor Lawrence coming out of Clemson and what we saw from him at Clemson as seemingly this perfect prospect. Not since Andrew Luck was a quarterback so perfectly prepared for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Size, from athletic ability, velocity on the throws, accuracy, brain, every characteristic, check for Trevor Lawrence, just like Andrew Luck would be the comparison I would make to him with that. So I think that if you're saying that he's Burrow or he's Mahomes and all that, then I think you're really overly relying on the opinion we had of him coming into his rookie year and coming out of Clemson. Because we saw one awful year, and we can chalk most of that up to Urban Meyer. It was an awful year for everyone in Jacksonville. And then he started to come on, late in the season, about halfway point. So, no, I'm not seeing enough to say that he's anywhere close to one of those guys, especially when you look at those guys after their second year in the league.
Well, I felt, too, like on the Lawrence front, like Lawrence played better at the end of last year, but in that Titans game, the last game of the year, I thought he stunk. And in the first half of the Charger game, I thought he was bad. And if he had played anybody else, that bad would have been so bad that they would not have been able to overcome it. And I didn't even think he was really all that good in the Chiefs game, where they gave him an opportunity because Mahomes got hurt. And yet everybody talks about Jacksonville like they were the 99 Titans and lost the Super Bowl by a yard. And I'm just not convinced that Jacksonville is going to carry the momentum from last year right into this year.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. And a lot can be said for Doug Peterson. Okay, if I'm going to buy in Jacksonville, I do think they have competent leadership now with Doug Peterson. And it's just such a big difference from Urban Meyer. I mean, you can't draft that high over and over and over again and not field a good football team at some point. Right? I mean, the odds are so low that could happen. Cleveland was this way. Cleveland was number 1 overall, number 3 overall, number 5 overall picks for years and years being bad. And eventually, they won a playoff game. I feel that way about Jacksonville. Like, they've got too much top end of the draft talent, especially now at quarterback, to where they're going to be more, and very soon.
Chad Withrow's with us from Outkick. Do you think that when the league picks up with the business next week, that we will see movement on DeAndre, or do you think that this thing will last into training camp?
I think it's going to last in training camp. I mean, what's his rush?
I mean, don't you want, like, if you're the Titans or the Patriots and you're going to pay that money, don't you want him in training camp so he can get acclimated with your team and quarterback?
But what does it matter what the team wants? I mean, I say that, cynically, and I'm being a cynic here, but he can sign wherever he wants. So, I mean, he doesn't care. His agent doesn't care. It's about what he wants to do and what's best for him in this situation. And then once he signs, the team can do whatever they want with him. They can cut you at a moment's notice. They can do whatever. So this is his time to do what he wants. I mean, I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is coming into some situation trying to be the best student in class and make sure that he's got his hand raised at all times, he's in camp on time or anything like that with anything. So, no, I don't think he cares. I don't think he signs anytime soon.
Chad Withrow's with us from Outkick. Coming up, we'll get more into kind of the Titans and training camp and some of the stuff from the baseball. And we got a big question that we have said Chad will make the decision for us. We'll get to that coming up next. If you were listening yesterday, you know exactly what it is. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Live and local.
You need to give Ryan Tannehill a 2-year extension.
There haven't been too many coaching changes for the Predators.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I think that's what the Titans need.
Players who can score.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's Black Friday in July at Electronic Express. Get up to 50% off in every department. Don't miss a TCL 65-inch Roku TV for only $349 or an LG laundry pair for just $499 each. Save on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, and more. Get an Acer Aspire laptop for just $199 or a Ring Video doorbell for only $149. Get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture, eat strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want. But unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Today's world is filled with many things that can push any of us to our limit. An upcoming move should not add to that list. When you choose Black Tie Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. From the free estimate by a local professional moving consultant to the red carpet treatment you receive on the day of your move, their trained and dedicated team is there to ensure that they take the stress out of the process. Call 844-920-2966. Then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life.
Yeehaw, folks! Cowboy Clyde back, and I'm teaming up with Harness LLC to tell you about the Murray County Sheriff's Rodeo, happening Friday and Saturday night. Kids under 11 are getting in free, with the first 100 of them getting a free cowboy hat. All proceeds go to help reserve deputy programs, like Shop with a Cop and School Resource Officer programs, to teach our youngins about the dangers of drugs, tobacco, and alcohol. Pony rides, a petting zoo, bareback bronc riding, steer wrestling, bull riding, and woo doggy, you'll have a great time with the family. So get your cowboy boots on and get ready for a good time that won't cost you a fortune. The Murray County Sheriff's Rodeo, just over yonder at the Murray County Park in Columbia. Friday and Saturday, gates open at 5:30, show starts at 8. If you need more info, go to MurrayCountySheriffsRodeo.com. That's MurraySheriffsRodeo.com. It's all brought to you by
Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. In their car, at home, or on the job, more than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
DeAndre Hopkins, even though he tends to be an upfield outside receiver, you can't single cover him.
Nope.
And you got to give the average corner needs help against him, and then finishing for him is, I mean, he's amazing when he finishes. He can go up and win a lot of 50-50 balls.
That's right.
So couple that with the big horse running the football and an offensive approach that wants to run the football. What's your anecdote to that play action? And, man, this guy's a play-action machine because he can run by anybody. So, he would help Tannehill immensely.
Immensely, says Bill Polian. So we know the Titans have made the best offer. TD said it on the program earlier today that the Titans feel comfortable about their offer, but they are not going to be desperate when it comes to Hopkins. So let's assume that the Titans have offered $12 million. And let's say 15 or 16 is what gets it done with DeAndre Hopkins. Chad Withrow's with us from Outkick on the program. Chad, would you up the ante? Just if it costs you $3 million extra, $4 million extra, would you do it to make sure that you get DeAndre Hopkins? Or would you hold firm with your offer thinking that it's the best offer?
I think it all depends on how I feel about my chances to advance deep into the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. If I'm being honest, I don't think that the Titans are a Super Bowl contender with him, so I'm not going to do it. If I've got a number in mind, I would stick with that and not go in desperate on it. If I were a DeAndre Hopkins away from winning a Super Bowl or feeling like I had a chance with the Chiefs or the Eagles or the Bills or the Bengals or anyone else, I'm not having any problem going $3 or $4 million higher to land my guy that can help me do that. But I personally, I don't think the Titans are in that position, so I don't think it's as dramatic that you have to get him because they're not in any spot to win this franchise's first Super Bowl.
Will you be disappointed in the Titans if they don't get DeAndre Hopkins?
I mean, I'll be disappointed in that we have to sit through a season of watching that wide receiver wing out on the field. Right? Like, I don't know that my disappointment wouldn't really be with the Titans if he decided to go somewhere else. I would have been disappointed had the Titans not brought him in, made him a contract offer, made him what's been reported to be the best contract offer of the two so far. I would have been disappointed had that not happened. But I think it'd be too strong for me to say I'd be disappointed in the Titans if he didn't choose the Titans in the end. I think the Titans are doing what they need to right now to try to land him. And I hope they do because I just don't think it's a tenable situation right now with what they have at receiver. And Bill Polian brought up a great point. I mean, it's very simple to look at it that way, but he's right. I mean, you've got this huge horse of a running back in Derrick Henry, and then you got to have a guy that can take the top off a defense and win a 50-50 ball, and that is Hopkins. I mean, that's the difference in a win and a loss in a couple games if he can go up and make a huge play deep down the field. So I'm with Bill Polian on that one. That's how big of a help he could be.
Chad Withrow's with us from Outkick. Rob Manfred was asked about expansion at the All-Star Game, was asked about specific cities, including Nashville first, and he said, I've gotten in trouble before mentioning cities, but it seems pretty inevitable that they're on the way of getting the A's deal done, whether that's in Vegas or if Oakland saves the team at the 11th hour, which I'm not totally sure is very likely. Tampa is going to get a new stadium done in Tampa, but they said they want to work through those before they get to expansion. They're going to expand to 32. It's going to cost $2 billion probably to expand into the league, and I believe Nashville is where Major League Baseball wants to be. But I just don't know, one, who's going to own the team, two, where are they going to put the team, and where's the stadium going to be, and three, and what's feasible about putting a stadium somewhere, and three, who's going to pay for all of it. And I think those are obviously the three biggest questions. I think baseball is making a comeback, but I do think that we are in line that once those two stadiums get figured out, and I think that'll be in the next couple of years, that we are in line for a baseball team if we're willing to find a place for it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's not if, but when. I mean, it's going to happen. The factors will come together. Major League Baseball wants it. I think Nashville is squarely number 2 on their wish list. They're about to get their number 1 on their wish list with Vegas when the A's move there. So I think that the odds are extremely high that the Titans are going to land an expansion team. I'm sorry, the Titans. Nashville will land an expansion team. And I think it's going to happen. Now, who pays for it? That's the tricky part, right, Jared? Because you got to find a billionaire that can do it. The first name that comes to mind is Haslam, to me, in terms of someone that may be interested. Maybe the Smith family with FedEx. I'm trying to think of billionaires in state that have a tie to the state that may be interested in owning a professional baseball team. So those are two names that come to mind. Where will it be? I really, really am into the idea of that Sounds footprint of Germantown and turning Germantown into sort of a downtown adjacent Battery that you see at Truist Park in Atlanta, where it's its own Wrigleyville, right?
But can you do that?
Even the Battery. What now?
Can you do that? Like, to me, Germantown is too built up at this point. They already have a ballpark there, and it's not going to be a major league ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be difficult, but I could see, walking around going to a Sounds game, I could see that area being its own, like Fenway neighborhood or Wrigleyville. The Battery is probably not the right example because it is built up and there are older buildings around there to go along with the newer condos and developments. And I could see that being a possibility. I like the concept of the baseball park being its own town. But I kind of want the best of both worlds. I want that baseball park being its own town and attraction happening close to downtown. I don't want it going to Williamson County. You could very easily make the case that it's from somewhere in Williamson County with land and build up the Truist Park setup around it.
Sure, or Rutherford County.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a lot of your season ticket base coming from those areas anyway, why not bring the park to them? The Braves were brilliant in doing that. They didn't have people wanting to go to downtown Atlanta that were paying for season tickets, so they brought the ballpark to them, and it's worked out great. So I can see a model for that happening. I just selfishly, I like the idea of a ballpark downtown or really close to it. I like Germantown. I love the idea of a full riverfront development. Also, to go along with the I don't think it's going to happen, but to go along with that. But I am a firm believer that it is not if but when for Major League Baseball in Nashville. And I don't think I would have said that a year ago. But I think all signs are pointing to Nashville becoming a Major League Baseball town.
Do you think we'll have all those three things figured out when push comes to shove? Because I think in 2 years, that's when baseball's going to. And I'm worried that we're spending too much time, not worrying about that. Where it's like, I feel like here in Davidson County, the Metro Council, they're too focused on the Titan Stadium or we're definitely not, going to pay any more money. And then I don't hear anything from Williamson County or Rutherford County about that. And then they got that fake baseball group with, Dave Stewart and all of them that talk a big game but haven't really done anything. And so I do feel like we're kind of dragging our heels. Like at least Vegas has got the money already, and that's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, really all you need is the right billionaire. I mean, that's what it's going to take. For Ingram to get it done for Nashville SC, right? It took the right money guy coming in that could build a relationship with the city, that was trusted by the city to make things happen and get it in motion and get it done quickly with Geodis Park and the soccer team here in town. So you get the right guy. Maybe it's a Haslam. Maybe it's a Smith. Whoever that person is that can come in, that the city can trust, you can get deals done pretty quick when you got the right money person involved with the city. So I think that's going to be the first step, is finding that person that really wants to own the team, that has the money to do it, that can build a quick relationship with the city and the Metro Council and all that, and sell people on the belief of what could be. And once that happens, I think things could happen quicker than maybe we think.
Chad Withrow's with us. You brought up Governor Haslam. I think that I think about his involvement with the Predators, and I think to myself, that could be like a precursor to him being a baseball owner of maybe part of the reason why he did it, because it's like, hey, let me show everybody that I can own a team, and then when baseball comes knocking, they'll know that I can own a team. But then there's also a part of me that thinks that his ownership of the Predators would almost, preoccupy him or preclude him from owning a baseball team. What's your read on it?
I think once you get into sports team ownership realm, I think most people that get into it want to own more. I think there are more people that are like Stan Kroenke and what he's assembled and what he's done than aren't. Mm-hmm. Now, some don't have the means to do it or can't get in because it's hard. When you own one of these teams, especially in our major professional sports, it's tough to get a team. They're not often for sale. So it's difficult to get in there. But I do think that the desire would be for the billionaire person that, is playing at a different level, different ballpark than us, that once they get a team and get a taste of it, I think they want more. So my read on it would be that Haslam would want more, that he would be into the idea of owning an MLB team.
Could you see yourself rooting for the MLB Nashville team over the Braves?
I've thought about this a lot. First off, I'd really want the team to be an American League team, right? That's the first thing, because I would like to have, this can be my American League team, and the Braves are my National League team, right? I would like for that to be the case. But, I mean, we're seeing this now. American League and National League doesn't matter as much anymore.
It doesn't matter at all.
Schedule. Yeah, you're playing everyone. There's a DH in both leagues. So really it only matters like it does for, Eastern Western Conference in hockey. Or, it's playoffs. Right? It's just the route you go through in the playoffs. That's all that it matters. And it doesn't really mean much of a difference either way. So, look, I tried this years ago where I just decided, I'm going to try to be a Cardinals fan for a short time. For whatever reason. A lot of members of my family are big Cardinals fans. Let me try to be a Cardinals fan. And I couldn't do it, right? My childhood allegiance was to the Braves. And no matter what's happened, I can't break away from it. So long way of answering your question, Jared. I think I'm going to have a hard time being all in on a Nashville Major League Baseball team. I'd love to see it. I would want them to do well, but I'd still be a Braves fan.
I feel the same sentiment. So yesterday on our program, Chad Withrow's with us from Outkick. Yesterday on our program, or really Tuesday night on Sirius XM, I had the opinion that when I read the Northwestern story, I said, well, I guess the coach is going to get fired, and ultimately he did. I don't feel strongly about the coach getting fired. I don't feel strongly in defense of Pat Fitzgerald. But I just figured, reading it, knowing our society, that he was going to get fired, which led to a caller on Sirius XM calling me part of the woke-minded media. Take a listen.
You have all the answers. This is a weak men, gutless men, and I hate to say it, I'm putting you in this category, the woke mob, because last night you said in your monologue, you read the story, changed the conclusion, you wanted to fire him, and you haven't even gathered the facts yet. And we do know the fact that nothing has changed in the facts from that report from when they gave a 2-week suspension until 2 days ago when they fired Fitzgerald.
How is that woke?
Enough. The only thing that's changed is your opinion, and that's not fair. And I'll tell you. Let me say why.
How am I a member of the woke mob for reading a story about systemic hazing at Northwestern and then just saying, yeah, they should fire the coach?
Because you came to your conclusion without gathering all the facts. And
that's what's woke?
You know what? Yes. Yeah, and everything wrong with our country right now. You want to come to your conclusion before you get to let's cancel this guy, let's fire him from his job, and then you have the audacity to say, you know what? But I'd rehire him somewhere else. I don't know where you stand on the issue because you're saying he's good enough to work somewhere else, but he's got to get fired for his job. And I just think that's a weak-minded thought.
Okay, Chad, so we've decided that you would be the expert on whether or not something is woke. Was my Pat Fitzgerald take woke?
No, it's not woke. Now, if you just came out like initial story and wanted to say like, he's absolutely got to fire him. This is you have to know everything about it. If you're like passionately, Pat Fitzgerald must be fired immediately, that's a little woke. But to say that you think he's going to get fired is not woke at all. I thought he was going to get fired after the president came out and said what he did about it. I may have erred in my initial judgment, right? On the 2-week suspension, I'm like, Pat Fitzgerald is about to get fired after hearing that. I'm like, this is not going to end well for him. But yeah, no, that's not woke. We had Ramon Ortiz Jr. on today on the show, and he's the guy. He's the only guy on record that played from 05 to 08 that's got racist allegations, got hazing allegations. And he kind of told us his story about his time at Northwestern. And I never mentioned Pat Fitzgerald. He talked about his offensive line coach and the offensive line room being a problem. Now, here is the question for you, that I want you to get going on your show locally here in Nashville. Peter Skoronski's going to have to answer a lot of questions.
Oh, we've been doing this for 3 days.
Peter Skoronski, the moment I saw this, I'm thinking, this is an offensive line problem more than it is a Pat Fitzgerald problem. And this is an offensive line culture at Northwestern. And I'm willing to bet Peter Skoronski took learning some things while at Northwestern. If he can answer honestly about it or not, I don't know. But he's going to have to answer some questions on it. But no, judge's ruling, you saying that you think he's going to get fired is not woke. I thought Bob Huggins was going to get fired after he made homophobic slurs on the radio, and he didn't. But I came on the show and said, yeah, he's going to get fired. Now, we've heard him say this word now twice. He's going to get fired. And he will. And I've been surprised before. But once I saw the president say that he erred with his judgment, I thought, yeah, he's in trouble.
Well, and let me say this. I feel way more strongly about Bobby Huggins than I do about Pat Fitzgerald. I just want Bobby Huggins to go away. Like, it's time for him to go away. Like, you know, he was a good coach, but he's a terrible role model for these players. I'm not really sure he's all that committed to coaching anymore. He's got his own issues to work out. I mean, go away. That's how I feel about Bobby Huggins and his news this week.
Yeah, I think he's going to be going away. I think you're going to get your wokester. You wokester. You want him gone because you're a wokester.
Yeah, exactly. Chad Withrow with us on the program. Chad, appreciate your time, bud. We'll talk next week.
Yep, always fun. Thanks.
Yep, Chad Withrow from Outkick. So we weren't woke. We weren't woke. Breaking news, the Stillman and Company Pat Fitzgerald take, not Woke. Feel good about myself there, I guess. 615-737-1025. With TD, we did some digging. The latest on DeAndre Watch from New England. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
What a stop by UC Sarah.
Then he wouldn't end up on my team.
Driving his way to victory lane.
I think that's the right strategy.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota LO1 series is part of our tractor lineup, rated #1 in durability and owner experience. They feature powerful Kubota diesel engines and easy operation. The durable Kubota LO1 series. Talk to your local Kubota dealer today to schedule a demo. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House.
3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
Election Day in Davidson County is August 3rd. Don't forget to cast your vote for mayor, vice mayor, at-large council members, district council members, and Tennessee House of Representatives District 51. This important election will help shape the future of our region. Early voting is from July 14th through 29th. If necessary, the runoff election will take place September 14th. For more information on registration, early voting, and polling locations, visit the link at thegamenashville.com.
This is it. The legendary live band Fish returns to the road this fall. Fish, Friday, October 6th, Saturday, October 7th, and Sunday, October 8th, Bridgestone Arena. On sale this Saturday, 10 a.m. at livenation.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts provides more than just the right parts for your repair. Our professional parts people can also offer free check engine light diagnosis. We can scan your vehicle and provide a list of possible fixes. Find the right parts for you or recommend a great local repair shop. Don't ignore your check engine light. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win.
Pregame at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
The futures for DeAndre Hopkins and the Tennessee Titans have moved. According to DraftKings, just in the last hour or so.
In the Tennessee Titans' favor.
Correct. So as far as where will DeAndre Hopkins end up, right now it's moved from minus 300 to go to the Tennessee Titans. It was plus 500 yesterday.
Wow, that's a pretty big swing.
Big swing.
That's a big swing. So from plus 500 to minus 300, like they are the prohibitive favorite now. And I've started to think, and this would, if I was DeAndre Hopkins, I'd do this. Wait for someone to get hurt on a team that's got a real chance. T. Higgins goes down for Cincinnati. Someone goes down for Buffalo. That's not Stephon Diggs. You know, Gabe Davis with his frying pan hands. Whatever. I want to latch onto a team that's got a real shot here. Sure, I'd like to make more money, but you know what? I'd like a ring. I'd like to think he cares about that in some way, shape, or form. So latch on with like a team that's got a real chance. But if he goes to the Titans, like. It really is just a straight money grab. Like, what's the draw there, just other than Mike Vrabel?
I am convinced the Titans aren't that bad. Jim Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston. Speaking of Boston, we had Mike Reese on, the ESPN reporter for the New England Patriots on the TD Power Hour. Of course, he and TD are guys. And so Mike Reese came on. Remember that Mike Reese was the one who reported over the weekend that the Titans offer had been more aggressive than the Patriots offer regarding DeAndre Hopkins. So we asked Mike Reese, how confident are the Patriots? You know, TD says that the Titans are very confident in signing DeAndre Hopkins. How confident are the Patriots? Here's what Mike Reese said.
So I think they felt like that the visit was good. Like it was a really good visit, and that there's mutual interest there. Ultimately, what I've learned just in my time in covering football is, it's one thing to say that, but then when you get to the negotiating table, you really find out what the interest is once you start crunching the numbers, right? And so to me, it comes back to the numbers, and I'm not privy to where that stands right now. But generally, the Patriots, I would say, all it takes is for Bill Belichick to snap his fingers and say, we're going to go get him, and it could change. But generally, I would say that's not always the way it goes. That's not the majority of the way. It doesn't go that way the majority of time in New England.
Basically saying, Bill does not just jump up and say, all right, we're going to make sure we sign this guy. Yeah, play ball with Bill, which is the take. Which reminds me, honestly, when I heard that, it reminds me of Floyd during the Clowney negotiations when he kept saying, like, oh, yeah, I'd have my price, and that's what I'd set it at, and I'm not leaving. What about Devontae Parker? He signed the deal last week or 2 weeks ago or whenever it was. Devontae Parker signed that contract extension, which made a lot of us think that meant that they were opening up cap space for DeAndre Hopkins.
TD, totally separate situation. Okay. Like it wasn't like, oh, they signed Parker and so they're out on Hopkins, or they signed Parker to create more space for, like, none of that. Like a total separate entity. And that deal, like this, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but sometimes when these deals get reported, it's sort of, it's not the full context.
Yeah.
That deal for Parker was 3 years, base value of $17 million. So that's just over, my math isn't great, but just over $5 million a year. Like, we're talking about a different neighborhood for DeAndre Hopkins. And if we're not, it's one of the best bargains in football.
Okay. Now, what about a bidding war? Because we know the Titans want Hopkins, and honestly, I feel desperate to get DeAndre Hopkins. What about the Patriots? That would be the best thing if DeAndre wants the most money, to have those two teams in a bidding war against one another. Could you see a bidding war, Mike Reese, with Bill Belichick?
So look, you never say never, but I would say in general, that's not the way the Patriots, in my history covering them, that's usually not the way it works. Like, I'm sure there are exceptions, but they generally assess the market, set the price that they feel like is where they're willing to go. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, yeah, they might move a little bit, but it's usually not significant.
See, now that worries me. And it doesn't worry me that the Patriots aren't going to get into a bidding war. That should comfort me. But then I start thinking about Vrabel and Carthon. And I think about the fact that a lot of general managers want to be like the guys they've been around in their lives. They're told, hey, as a general manager, it might be hard, but you need to do this. And so I can see Vrabel or Carthon saying, hey, we're not going to get into a bidding war for DeAndre. We're not going to up the price. We're not going to act desperate. We're not going to do this. We're not going to budge off our number, because that's how Bill would do it. But I also think Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel need to be realistic about what they have at wide receiver. And if the Titans had to give up draft picks, or the Titans had a second wide receiver, like when I didn't feel like they needed to give up the draft picks for Julio Jones because they had Josh Reynolds as their second receiver, then I would say, yeah, that's fine. Stay at your price. Unfortunately, for the Titans, they don't have a second receiver. So, I mean, I'm worried that, Belichick's not going to want to get in a bidding war, but I also could see the Titans saying, we're not moving off of our price. We've said it. It's a fair price. That's what we're going to do. And finally, what about training camp? Bill is a big practice guy. Vrabel big practice guy. I mean, I want DeAndre Hopkins, but I want DeAndre Hopkins in on the 25th. I want him around Tannehill. I want him in the wide receiver room. I want him on the practice field, even if it's just a little bit. What about training camp? Is that a deadline, a soft deadline perhaps for Belichick?
I'm going to say no, only because so much can change on a day-to-day basis in the league, right? Like, all it would take is for, Juju Smith-Schuster up here in New England to go down, in the first full pads practice, or you hate to even mention it, right? Knock on wood. You don't want to see any player get injured, or likewise in Tennessee, Burks goes down or whatever, whoever, you know what I mean? Like, so I think setting like a deadline like that is, I think it's too absolute. Now, that being said, I could see the team saying like our offer is just, it is what it is. We're going to sort of move forward. And then maybe the offer slides down a little bit if you're from the team standpoint, but I don't see it ever being like we're moving on entirely because camp started, if that makes sense.
Okay, there you go. So that was Mike Reese. If you missed the whole interview, check it out wherever you get your podcast. 615-737-1025. Somebody texted into the text line some tweet from somebody I've never heard of. And with Twitter, you don't know who's real anymore and who's not. But this person's not even trying to be real. Somebody says DeAndre Hopkins will be arriving in Nashville and will sign his deal with the Titans tomorrow. Now, what is today? The 14th? So, no, today's the 13th. So, yeah, that came out today. So, at noon today, at Mid-10 Takes tweeted out that Hopkins will be arriving in Nashville and will sign his deal with the Titans on Friday. Yeah, we'll see. But I will say this. The text line is normally where a lot of stuff shows up. Ryan Johansson's injury in the playoffs first showed up in the text line. Hassan Haskins' arrest first showed up in the text line. So, we shall see. Boy, that would be something. I'm not even on the air tomorrow. If that were to happen, I have like certain things that if they happen, then, it's to kind of break the glass and then I, end up working. I don't know if Hopkins signing would do that or not. I think it would have to, right?
Yeah, I feel like that.
As much as we talk about it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Boy, I made some people mad today. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Rose, 6 to 9.
Big time performance, best part of the team.
Chase McCabe, 9 to 11.
An unrestricted free agent.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace, 11 to 2.
Got the big contract.
The Velvet Touch.
Talk about Hall of Famers.
And Stillman and Company, 2 to 6.
Kept going for it.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Smashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Tennessee, we're Zen Sports, the new sportsbook in town. We listen to your feedback on our competitors, so we designed Zen Sports just the way you wish. Set favorites, search and sort bets, and earn real cash rewards, saving you time and money with every bet you make. Find the bets you want, not those distracting bets that seem too good to be true but rarely are. Best of all, withdraw your winnings in under 24 hours. So take control of your bets, because with Zen Sports, betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up and in Tennessee to bet.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This is Buster Olney, host of the Baseball Tonight podcast, inviting you to join us. We go 3 days a week with great guests from players such as Mike Trout and Carlos Correa, managers like Dusty Baker and Dave Roberts, general managers like Brian Cashman and Alex Anthopoulos, and our regulars, Tim Kirkchin, Sarah Langs, Jeff Pass, and Carl Ravitch. Baseball is a great fishbowl of humanity, and we go big game fishing every day. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
When it comes to Chase McCabe,
The Nashville Predators, the Titans, the NBA, college football, talk a little racing.
you get a little bit of everything.
But hey, you know what? We're getting it done.
Join Chase McCabe weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All kinds of controversy. It's a spicy game. At one point, the second penalty kick, and you probably saw this, Nick, Philadelphia scores right in the end zone where the support groups that beat the drums and get the chants going, and they're awesome, by the way.
Name?
I was sitting
Soccer Moses?
Soccer Moses,
Soccer
yeah.
Moses.
But one of the people from that section fired a water bottle and hit the player from Philadelphia and hit him pretty. It wasn't just like lobbed in there and it bounced up. It hit him.
It was an aggressive hit.
Square.
Yeah.
What?
Somebody else threw a beer can that had a lot of beer in there because it was coming in hard. Didn't hit him, but it all of a sudden, Joe Willis, the goalie, turns and yells and it says, "No, you can't do that." Like everybody, even on the Nashville SC team, was saying, "Cool it, we can't have that." So my point is, nobody's talking about that today. Like, if that game were on TV last night and you were building a little bit more of what I would think you're trying to do, you would have a little more presence on shows like this. But it doesn't seem to be that important to the team. It's kind of like, hey, we know we got a good product. If you want to come to the game, great. We got people that are covering the game. If you want to go find them, do it. But, like, I don't see them really reaching out, trying to grow that fan base with casual fans. That's just my observation.
That was Willie Donick today on the Midday Show. I thought it was a great topic, and we touched on it in the 3 o'clock hour, and Nashville SC fans are mad at me. Now, did I not say this, David, that this is exactly what was going to happen?
Yep.
They were going to get mad at me for saying, hey, your sport has a niche group of people in the city that care about it, and outside of that, nobody gives a crap.
Yep.
And that you should be focused on getting people like me to give a crap about Nashville SC. And you shouldn't get mad at me for saying that, but you should think, okay, how do we get the casual Nashville sports fans like Jared Stillman to care about soccer?
You said it exactly.
And now the fans are mad at me. And all they're doing is talking about, we average 28,000 fans a game. Right. And that's exactly what Willie is talking about. That is the exact point. If all that matters is opening up the gates and people coming and paying for $15 hot dogs, if that is the only thing you care about, then you're doing a great job. But if you want everybody else in the city to care about this team, then they have to do a better job of getting people to care about it. That's all I'm saying. It's kind of like a Donald Trump rally, right? So when Donald Trump has these rallies, there are, thousands of people with their Trump signs and their red caps and all that kind of stuff, right? The thing is they don't need to get those people at the Trump rally to vote for Trump. Those people are already going to vote for Trump. The question is, how do you get the other people to vote? That's the question. How do you get the person who, is an independent voter to vote for that person? Not how do you get the person at the rally to vote for that person. And that's kind of, honestly, one of my biggest beefs with the Nashville SC fan base. My biggest beef with the team is that, quite frankly, I think they're entitled and lazy. That's my biggest beef with the team. I think the team's entitled. I think the team expects us to treat them like they are the, like they're the Titans, an NFL team. And I'm sorry, you just don't matter enough for us to treat you like that. So that's my beef with the team, is that I feel like they're entitled, that they're not completely welcoming, that they haven't gone out of their way to fix issues that the fans have, like the parking and things like that. Like, they can do a much better job of that. And I'm just telling you, the Predators would never allow the parking fiascos that seem to come from Geodis Park. They would never allow that to happen. And they certainly wouldn't allow it to happen twice. So that's my issue with the team. My issue with the fan base is stop being so soft. Like, do you want people outside of you to care about it? And I know you do, because, I love baseball, and I want more people to care about baseball. And I love women's basketball, and I want more people to care about women's basketball. I can't tell you how much I enjoy the fact that now people kind of care about women's basketball. You know that LSU and Iowa, when Caitlin Clark plays, everybody's tuned into the game. So Nashville SC fan, and I'm literally getting the tweets from people that are like, at Johnny NSC, or people that when I click their little thing, it's like the backdrop is a Nashville SC logo. I know you like Nashville SC. The question is, how do we get other people to like Nashville SC? And that's not my job. That's their job. And that's your job as a supporter of the team. So don't get mad at me. I'm not putting you down. I'm just telling the truth. And sometimes people don't want to hear the truth. That's why we have political channels that tell everybody what they want to hear all the time. But I don't do that. I just tell you the truth. And I have to be honest with you. I'm a little disappointed in Nashville SC, because when I fought for that stadium, and I fought, we had John Cooper, the current mayor of this city, as a Metro Council member at large in this studio with me and Floyd, and he and I argued with each other. And I actually went back and listened to that before we interviewed the mayor on the Titan Stadium. I just kind of wanted to see, how did I feel about it after the point? He actually made some good points. I think I might have been a little bit in the wrong. But he actually had one where he was like, how many MLS teams could you name? He's like, I bet you couldn't even name 10. And I think I was getting to 10. I don't think I actually got to 10. So I say all of this to sum it up as Nashville SC fan. Invite other people into the circle. Unless you're fine with nobody else caring. But I read on Braden Gall's website, they did a poll, and it said, we wish Jared Stillman would talk about Nashville SC. Well, Nashville SC and Nashville SC fans, make it easier to consume your product, make it more enjoyable to do that, make it simpler, get more fans, and I won't have a choice but to talk about it. But listen to the constructive criticism and don't be mad at the messenger. Stillman and Company, that'll do it for us right here, 102.5, 106 to the game.
In full swing, but there's no slowing down ESPN's Teron Davenport.
The flow of information.
He talks the talk.
Spears gives you that guy that can still hit the home run.
And walks the